everyone, and welcome to the Miller Talk podcast. I'm your host, Austin, and today we'll be talking to the mayor of Utopia, who is a MAHA mom, and I met her on X. Would you like to say hi, Mayor of Utopia?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm super excited to be here.
So, how do you label yourself as a MAHA mom? What got you started on that?
Well, this is actually a very funny story. I was raised very what we call now MAHA. My mother always raised us with healthy foods and stuff like that, all of that kind of thing, avoiding all of these things. As I got older, it turns out that my mother is orthorexic, which is the obsession with only eating healthy foods to an unhealthy degree.
Hmm.
My aunt and my grandpa also are. My grandpa actually died from it. And so, and it, she actually ended up encouraging me to have an eating disorder. I was anorexic for a while.
Ooh.
However, once I recovered and learned to have more of a healthy balance, I went back to, trying to eat healthy, not to an unhealthy degree, looking at all these things. However, now my mother is anti MAHA, even though it's the exact same thing she preaches, just because it's associated with
Hmm.
the whole movement. But
Yeah.
it's very important to me to try to eat healthy to keep my body good. But again, not in like the absolute craziness. I just had a big pizza last night.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's also important to me because I have a daughter who is not yet one. And
Hmm.
so I'm focused on trying to make sure that she's healthy and that we're trying to put, as little chemicals into her body, especially
Hmm.
with girls. Girls are starting puberty earlier and
Oh yeah.
earlier and earlier. And I am certain that it has something to do with the chemicals and all of
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, it's a real issue,
Mm-hmm.
especially for a mother.
Oh, 100%. I definitely was way more carefree about what I was eating and what I was doing before I was a mom, but so much changed actually after I became a mom. After I had my baby, literally the moment that she touched my chest, so many things changed. I went from being like aggressively pro choice to now I basically can't even fathom people getting an abortion for anything besides if the baby is completely incompatible with life,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's just everything. Life has become more valuable for me and just so much more fragile. I think all the time, like, what if something happened to me or my daughter?
Hmm.
And so much has just changed after having my baby, and I just want to make sure that I give her the best possible start to life.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of moms aim for, and I think they've been lied to for a while.
Oh my goodness, so much. Finding things for my daughter has been difficult because bottles they make are plastic, and then they've got all of these microplastics in them, which, one use straw is fine because sure it's plastic, but then the more you use things, so it wears down. So luckily I was able to find some bottles that had a glass inlayer, but they're still plastic outside, so she's
Hmm.
not getting any plastic touching her formula. And that's great. Finding formulas, finding out that the US has absolutely crappy formulas with no testing for all of these things. They just let it go. I mean, she was getting sick just in the beginning from the best of the American formulas I found. I had to switch to Kendamil for her to actually be able to gain weight. It's just there's so much that they make it very difficult nowadays.
That's interesting. I don't have any kids yet, so I didn't even know about the formula.
Oh yeah, you should see RFK Jr. has been looking like talking about all of this stuff. He has mentioned like there's no looking into formulas. There's nothing like that. And he wants to fix all that. He wants to like do all these testings and things. And for a lot
Testing.
of moms, yeah, like to actually test the formulas and make sure that they don't have these like chemicals, additives, all of these other things that they don't have these strict standards for United States formula. And for moms like me who relied on formula. I was unable to breastfeed because for some reason I just didn't even make enough milk, regardless of how healthy I
Mm-hmm.
ate. Doesn't matter. And very, I was very well endowed in the chest, and that did not change anything. So I've relied on formula since the moment of her birth. And if I was stuck with American formula, I do not think she would have been able to thrive the way that she has.
Yeah, that's interesting. I follow RFK a lot too, and I hadn't even heard anything about the formula.
That's because anything good that he's trying to do, they will literally try to they make everything a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So starting there's an article I found just June 5th right now. It's called apparently Operation Stork Speed. It was announced in mid-March, and it was trying to do the first comprehensive update and review of infant formula nutrients since 1998.
That's the year I was born.
Look at that. You see this? So there
Mm-hmm.
has been no like comprehensive review of infant formula since that many years ago. It's been, 27 years, and everything just keeps getting dismissed because it doesn't make money to actually have to check things, and these places are all about making money.
Yep, that's what it all is.
Oh my goodness, everything is all about the money.
Yeah, almost anywhere you look. I mean, to find the root of it, you find the money.
Exactly. That's why I'm really happy we also see that Nestle is finally getting rid of like artificial dyes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Again, just because they were basically forced to. It
Yeah.
has nothing to do with them being upstanding, good people who care about the health. I'm sure if you look, one of the things that I've tweeted about quite a bit is that the food, the ingredients that are in food in America versus in Europe, we
Mm-hmm.
have so many more additives. It's insane. And then people say, oh, well, people in Europe are skinnier because of this. It's like, no, we have no option. We are fed poison.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why obesity rates keep going up. That's why all of these things keep getting worse. But, there's money in keeping people sick.
Yep. Yeah, there's a. Yeah, I follow RFK a lot, so I mean, like I vibe with everything you're saying.
Well, I'm glad. I feel a lot with this kind, like what's going on. I myself, for when I voted for RFK Jr., knowing that he wasn't going to win,
Mm-hmm.
but because had 5% of the population voted, we would have been able to get independence permanently on the ticket without having to
Ah.
campaign.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I live in a blue state, so it didn't even matter. I'm in California. They called the
Wow.
election for Kamala before voting hours even opened, and it was no
Mm-hmm.
surprise.
Yeah.
Although uh, I had family members who were so upset that I did not vote for Kamala, even though I didn't even vote for Trump, that they stopped speaking to me,
Wow.
including my own brother, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I just am so aghast about is this whole like trans social contagion as well.
Mm-hmm.
My mother is very woke. She read the How to Be an Anti-Racist books, and she parades herself as the epitome of virtue signaling and saying all of these buzzwords and all of that stuff, which, looking back at it, is terrifying had I been born 5 or 10 years later. I was a huge tomboy. You could not get me in a dress. My hair was short, not like buzz cut boy short, but I had it below my chin. I
Mm-hmm.
only played with other boys. I know that at the very least, she would have convinced me that what I was non binary, or at the most tried to trans me because, then she would be unique and have this, and everybody would have their eyes on her.
Hmm. think that's what a lot of that is in that community.
Oh my goodness, most definitely. A lot of it is, you see with trans children, a lot of it is parents pushing
Mm-hmm.
that they want to be unique, they want to have that. You never see any conservative trans children, and not because what the liberals say, oh, they're too scared to come out. How would they know if they've been saying it since they could talk? They don't
Yeah.
know any better. But
Mm-hmm.
that only happens with liberals. But trans teenagers come about because of this other social contagion. I was a teacher for a very long time, and in the beginning, there were no trans kids. There were, of course, a lot of gender non-conforming, but they were just normal. They didn't call themselves non-binary. They just did what they did. And then post-COVID, I had so many trans kids, especially girls identifying as boys as teenagers.
Hmm.
And I think it gave them a sense of being unique and,
Yeah.
cool and all of that stuff. And they got special attention. And then, they could demand more and call people whatever phobic and whatever ist and
Mm-hmm.
all of that.
Yeah, my wife was she worked at a daycare for a little while, and she had a 2-year-old trans kid come through her class,
Oh,
like
yeah,
2 years
impossible.
old. How does it? What do you mean it? What?
No, impossible. When I was two, and I know I'm going to sound, so uppity, but when I was definitely above average growing up and still probably am, all of that. And I still didn't think about being a girl or boy besides the fact that, I had a vagina and my brother had a penis. That was the
Mm-hmm.
difference. There was no, I didn't need to act a certain way. That part didn't matter. It was just what it was, and I never thought further about it. There was no right or wrong way to be a girl.
Mm-hmm. It's
Yeah, we saw
it's
this
definitely
too.
weird.
Oh, it's super weird. When I was pregnant and I found out it was a girl, which was a complete shock. I was certain I was going to have a boy. And when I found out it was a girl, my mother's response is, well, we'll see. Mm, no. If she's coming out a girl, then she's a girl.
Mm-hmm.
She can like whatever she wants to like. She can do whatever she wants to do. That doesn't mean she's wrong. She's born perfect, and there's nothing wrong with her. There's nothing wrong with children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really care about trans people. Like, as long as they're adults and they can make their own
Exactly.
choices. But it's this pushing it onto kids. Like, we just got done with Pride Month. And the only places I've seen pride flags this year, I live in a deep red state in Oklahoma.
Nice.
And the only place I've seen pride flags this month was in children's areas.
That's disturbing. That's absolutely disturbing. And I understand because when I went and took my daughter to the library for a book reading, I try to take her to do, fun, free things, get it, exposed. There was a drag queen reading the book. I got up and before we even sat down, I left. There was no reason to be introducing this around children because it wasn't just about somebody reading. They were making it the whole purpose of it. They were broadcasting this is what this was and telling kids, this is the normal when it's not. And it's okay to tell this to adults. Go to have an adult drag show. That's fine. As an adult, do whatever you want. But as a kid, you're so impressionable and you can just easily get lost because you're told lies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, children don't have any life experience to base decisions off of.
Exactly.
If someone like they trust, like a teacher, is telling them all the time these things, but they're not allowed to bring it up at home.
Oh, yes. One of the biggest things that I plan on instilling in my daughter and future children is that you do not keep secrets.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to emphasize there are things like surprises, which mean that you will be telling the person at the certain point, a surprise party or a surprise present or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody says to keep something secret, that is bad. That is not okay. And you should immediately tell somebody.
Yeah, that's never a good thing.
100%. I worked at a school. It was an all girls school, but we had several trans students. Luckily, it was female to male because then it was just basically a girl playing pretend at this point. It really was. It was a middle school. And they had their new names in the school. They had all of that. And my school would not allow me to inform the parents about this. And
Hmm.
we were required to, when we had parent teacher conferences, only call the student by their dead name to the parents and then have a talk. Like, we had to have a talk with the student, be like, are you okay with this afterwards? And I felt so icky keeping this a secret from
Mm-hmm.
parents,
Yeah.
and there was nothing I could do about it. I ended up leaving that school at the end of the year, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's terrible.
Hmm. So how long were you a teacher?
So I was a teacher in the school district for 5 years, but I did a lot of other tutoring teaching on the side beforehand. And I disliked working with the district so much that I left actually in the middle of a school year. I could not stand the way that these schools were. I left, and now I am a full time private tutor, which is actually excellent because I'm able to stay at home with my daughter during the day
Mm-hmm.
and tutor after school hours. And I actually tutor virtually over Zoom. So it's basically a dream job. It's teaching, but it's teaching students who want to learn, and I'm able to spend time with my family.
Yeah, that's a good mix.
It definitely is everything that I wanted, which was is great because I have always wanted to be a teacher since I was little, like since I can remember. And then when I became a teacher and saw the environment and saw how this was, I became so disheartened and honestly broken for a little bit because I felt trapped. I felt like this, I can't leave because this is what I wanted, but this is not what I expected. And this was just awful. So I'm so glad I was able to find something, some way to still do what I wanted to do and actually be able to help people and have a good time.
Yeah. Um, I always liked teaching, but I never thought I wanted to be a teacher just because from about as young as I can remember, I mean, school, like I did good in school and I liked school, but it was just like, get me out of here.
No, I completely understand. That's how it is for most people. I kind of praised myself on doing well in school. My mother was never my biggest fan growing up. Both my parents preferred my brother, although I've reconciled
Mm,
with my father as an adult. He
yeah.
was just accidentally sexist because he had terrible sisters of his
Mm-hmm.
own, so he projected that. But my, I just, it was the only way that I had something that I could show off was real because I never got any compliments for anything else. But I knew, if I had an A on something, nobody could take that away from me.
Yeah.
But it led that to becoming my entire personality. And
Mm-hmm.
then when I was in high school and I was applying to colleges and ended up not getting into Ivy Leagues, even though I graduated top of my high school, 9 AP classes, amazing SAT, ACT scores, all of
Mm-hmm.
that. I was during the affirmative action time,
Oh yeah.
and I'm white, and my name is actually a boy's name typically, and I was going into math fields, and I truly believe that they didn't even bother to read past the fact that they thought I was a boy and just said reject.
Hmm. Yeah, I didn't like college. I did a little bit of it because I wanted to be a nurse, but after one semester, I was done.
Honestly, I did not enjoy college. I felt like college made me stupider. I
Mm-hmm.
honestly had left high school and felt way more prepared for the real world and felt college was just, I had to pay to play to get a degree so
Yeah.
I could do what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was teaching, they always told me to push 4-year colleges to the students. But when nobody was listening, I would tell them not everybody needs to go to a 4 year. Sometimes you can go to trade school. Sometimes you can do this. There are other options if
Yeah.
you want.
Interesting. Yeah, college was definitely heavily pushed on me, but they did inform us about junior colleges and stuff. They didn't they didn't try to say only 4 years, 4 year institutions, but it was heavily pushed on us for sure.
Oh, yeah, ours was, they pushed 4 year, 4 year, 4 year so that they could put it on their board that they had students that went to this school and that school and put these big names because then they believed it would make their school look better. And it was never about what was best for the student, it was never
Hmm.
about what was best for them. It was just about how can we make ourselves look good? How can we make the school look great?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. My graduating class was only 30 people, and I think 29 of us went to college right after graduating, but probably five of us graduated college.
That's crazy. All of that with the tiny class. And yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, I knew so many people who went to college, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, only to get beat down and realize this is not at all what I was told. This is not at all what I was promised, and they changed what they did and were so much happier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went to be a prison guard for a little while, and then I'm at my
And
current job, but I
ooh,
can't speak about my current job anymore.
that's fine. As a prison guard, were you at a men's or a women's prison?
Men's prison. It was federal inmates in a privately owned prison, and the federal
Nice.
inmates were illegal aliens.
Interesting. That's interesting that it was into a private prison. I bet you that's the reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a majority of them, overwhelming majority of them, were in there. No, okay, so every single one of them were an illegal immigrant in some form or fashion, but almost all of them were in there for possession with intent to distribute. That was a majority of it. But then there were some people, because it was just a medium security prison, so some of them had worked their way down from like a high security.
But yeah, that's good. Uh, that's, at least they work their way down, but still, that's crazy. This is why people, we have to be careful about, we have to be more better about who we let into this country
Mm-hmm.
and how we monitor it. And of course, there are terrible American citizens too. There's terrible people everywhere.
Yeah.
But that doesn't give us the excuse to be like, oh, let's just let in people who are actively more terrible because nobody is tracking them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't when you're not vetting people and at least I don't know, asking for their name at the very least,
Least.
like we don't know who they are. Yes, like maybe whatever percentage of them may actually be here doing the right things and really want a better life or whatever, but you still have no idea.
Completely. I always talk about it. The leftists, they like to say ACAB, all cops are bad.
Yep.
But they don't apply the same thing to illegal immigrants because they say, "Oh, well, they're the ones that are just coming here for a better life." And it's like, yeah, some of them are, but a lot of them are not.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the ones we see rioting. Those are the ones that we see doing all of this.
Mm-hmm.
My
Yeah, there was
husband's
just like
family,
another raid yesterday or earlier this morning, and already seeing videos of them throwing rocks at him, leaving with the
oh,
people they arrested.
100%. I know just recently that Gavin Newsom was trying to be like, there was a raid of workers at a marijuana plant here. This is what you voted for. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
we found out that there were unaccompanied children
Yeah.
working on these weed farms and all this stuff. And it's just, they don't care. It's about, they want to just virtue signal. They're like, who cares about these children doing back-breaking labor? Who cares that we're treating them like slaves? Who cares about all of that? I want my cheaper fruit.
Yeah. Yeah, and they always say they're full of empathy and love. So they want people to come here illegally and work like slaves instead of coming the right way where they can get an enormous amount of workers' benefits.
Correct. Exactly. That's the thing is the Democrats, they love their slaves. Even my mother has said that.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, admittedly, I don't want to pay more for my fruit. And all I could think about was how much these
Wow.
parties have seemed to switch in the last, couple decades. It's just you see on Twitter on posts like this on X where they say, "Oh, are you MAGA? Are you guys ready to work backbreaking in the fields for $2 an hour?" And it's like that's how you can see that they don't
Mm-hmm.
care
Oh
that
yeah.
the immigrants are being treated like that. They don't
Yep.
care. They're just pretending to.
Like most of us do, most men and some women,
Yes.
we break our backs working for everything that we have. So we're
One
already doing that. It's just, oh, because it's in a field. So you just don't work. You've never worked for anything.
100%. They have never worked. They've never experienced any of that. My husband's family are legal immigrants. They came from Mexico, his parents, and my husband actually spent his formative years in Mexico because his
Mm-hmm.
family was so destitute that they went back. And they are so sick of so many illegal immigrants making them look bad, making everybody
Mm-hmm.
look bad, causing all of these problems. And it's just so funny to me because all of the liberals who are all over the illegal immigrants, none of them have spoken to real legal immigrants about
Yeah.
how they feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're trying so hard to blur that line between illegal immigrant and immigrant because every post you see
Oh,
them make, they almost never call them an illegal immigrant. They might say like undocumented worker, but that's as far as they will go because they want to blur that line so much to make you think
oh,
that we're deporting actual people that need to be here.
Oh, it's so funny to me. They end up being the most racist because they will say to people, "But you're brown, so ICE is going to come after you." And it's like, "Why are you assuming I'm an illegal?" That's what they say, It's like, why
Mm-hmm.
are you assuming that?" And I read these things. I just read about ICE in Chicago apparently going to a Puerto Rican place. And it's like, yes, Puerto Ricans are US citizens. And they were complaining about all this. And I'm like, so then they would have nothing to worry about. Why are you making this a big deal if ICE was standing there and they're US citizens? If ICE came up to me and said, hey, let me see your ID, I'd go here and they'd go, have a nice day.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Why are we pretending that why did the Democrats say because they're brown, they're worse off or
Mm-hmm.
something? It's ridiculous. It's so racist of
It's
them.
yeah, it's like a confirmation bias. It's like, yes, they're brown and we're arresting them, but it's not because they're brown. It's because a majority of these people came from Mexico and Latin America.
Exactly, because
So,
that's what's close to us. That's what's there.
it has nothing to do with the color of their skin, but straw man it out.
Well, of course, they stick to the one thing that they can to try to make it seem and then go off on that. It's so funny to me that they pretend that America is evil for sending people home when every other country does this. I was just saw somebody who was deported from Mexico from overstaying their visa. Mexico deports people. Like this is not an evil America thing.
Yeah. Yeah, they always try to do that too.
Oh,
Make
and then
you
you
look
get
like the
the,
evil person.
of course, and then you get the, oh, well, they should get a fair trial. A trial for what? They came here illegally. That's proven. We're not
Mm-hmm.
sending them anywhere but home. That,
Yeah.
I mean, imagine going out for the night and somebody buys you a free Uber and sends you back to your house and feeling like that was a bad thing.
Yeah. Or imagine someone breaks into your house and you call the judge first
Yeah,
to
right?
give him, a full trial before you shoot him.
Exactly. It's like, no, 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 that's not how this works in America, actually, so stop trying to pretend it is.
Yeah. If someone, if you had like a 50-acre ranch and you found someone on your land, first thing you're going to do is kick them out. You're not going to ask them why they're there. What are you doing? You
No.
mean you might, but get out of here. It's not.
Yeah, I'm not going to say, oh, okay, you can stay here because, whatever. This is how these invasions happen. If somebody came into your home, you're not going to say, oh, yes, you can stay here. All these same people, they go, let the illegal immigrants stay. But they won't let them in their own houses. So isn't that a bit, hypocritical?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see those videos all the time online of them
Well,
like going up to people and saying, it may have been like right before the election, but they would
oh,
walk up to people and be like, "Do you are like you for the illegal immigration and blah blah blah?" And they go like, "Yeah." Like, would you house some illegal immigrants if you wanted to, or if they needed a home? And they'd be like, "Yeah," and then they'd bring out like five guys, and it's like, "Well, here they are," and they start
and
freaking out.
you'd hear these arguments, and my favorite argument was, "Oh, I've got kids, so I can't." And it's like there are kids everywhere in America, but you're fine with that. You're fine with them
Mm-hmm.
coming in and causing all these problems, but you're somehow superior because you said you're okay with them, but not actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't get it. Just from a fundamental standpoint, like why would you not want to deal with it? Deal with the problem.
Exactly.
It is a problem.
Yeah, I physically cannot understand why this is becoming a political divide when it's
Mm-hmm.
just so obvious that this is an issue, that this would be an issue anywhere. If I lived in any other country, I would feel the same way about illegal immigrants from any other
Yeah.
country.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just how this works.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just the progressive mindset. They just want things to change so rapidly,
Oh
and
yeah.
they they seem to always be arguing over things that are like set in stone. Like, no, we're not changing that. Like gender and the Second Amendment and the illegal
Yes.
immigration. It's like, no, this has been a thing for a while.
This is
Like,
just how it is. They're just fact.
yeah.
And I'm sure you know about the origin of gender coming from creepy pedophile John Money, who did experiments on children and made them reenact sexual acts with each other.
Hmm.
This is where we get the idea that gender is fluid from him.
Hmm. Wow.
The story came from there were twin boys who were born, and one of them had a botched circumcision, which already should be a warning to not mutilate your child when they are born for no reason. And
Mm-hmm.
instead of dealing with that the way they did, they decided to raise the child as a girl from early on.
Hmm.
And this child grew up, and they had John Money who was intervening, and they had him and his twin brother. They would have them act out sex acts with each other. They would have them do these things. And of course, he became all sorts of screwed up in the head. And when he was older and his parents admitted that he was a boy, he actually then went and lived fully as a boy, how he felt he was, how he really was. And then
Mm-hmm.
eventually he
Yeah.
ended up killing himself because of all of the trauma and all of what he
Mm-hmm.
went through.
Yeah.
All because people think that we are like gender is fluid and that you aren't born the way you are. Remember when they used to say you were born this way? Remember when that was the liberal thing?
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes no sense to me, but like I remember it kind of like arising. Like I had a friend who was a girl, but was dating a girl that thought she was a guy, and I just remember having these talks about it, and me really not like I really don't care about that, but just saying things like, if we're all hanging out and something happens, like she has a medical emergency or something, I'm gonna tell the paramedic that that's a girl. I'm not gonna be
Yes.
like this is blah blah blah. Like,
No, these people are putting their own health at risk for affirming their delusions in so many ways.
mm-hmm,
And again, I have no problem with when adults decide to do what they want, but they can't pretend that they actually changed sexes. They can't pretend
yeah,
this and then ignore their health. I mean, imagine a man just going like, "Now I don't have to worry about prostate cancer. I'm just going to do cervical screenings," as
mm-hmm,
if that works.
yeah,
That's not how that works.
yeah, yeah. I've heard of them going to gynecologists, or there was a gynecologist that said like, "Oh, I do trans men." Like, I don't even want
Hmm.
to know what goes on in that room because
Yeah, I
it's not that exam. So
no, I do not want to know what's going on in any of that. It's just it's so annoying how they make it so pervasive in every aspect when it could just be how somebody dresses, how somebody identifies, how all of that. But really, they make everybody else play along. They make everybody else do this. And that's where we're getting this problem.
yeah, yeah, that's where I draw the line. Is like saying I have to acknowledge this. I
It's
really
it's
don't.
it's going against the freedom of speech. And
Mm-hmm.
also, it's just so funny to me when people get upset about being misgendered. As I said, I have a boy's name, and when people would read my name, they would assume I'm a boy.
Mm-hmm.
And I earned an award once through it was a Congressional Youth Gold Medal. I worked so hard for this, and you have to write a little blurb about yourself, and they read it, and it's presented to you by your district's congressional representative. It's a big deal. And so I wrote my blurb, blah 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 blah, she, blah 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 blah. And the person who was reading it said he every single time. I'm standing right next to them, a little bit to the back, so they couldn't really see me.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as she finishes reading the blurb, she turns, sees me, realizes I'm a girl. And my only response was I look up and down at myself and I go, "Well, I think I'm a girl." And the audience laughed. It was very funny. And we all moved on because it didn't matter to me.
mm-hmm.
I didn't flip out because I know who I am.
Yeah. It seems like a problem that's more deep rooted. It
Very
has
much
so
so.
many plays.
Very, very much so. But there's so much too where I don't know why we're forced to affirm this, but if we were told you have to affirm anorexics,
Mm-hmm.
that would be atrocious. That one
Yeah.
has the highest death rate of everything. And if we were just told, no, 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 you have to affirm them, it would just go from bad to worse.
Exactly. Yeah. Loving someone is not letting them persist in doing something that is bad for their health. Loving someone is saying, "Hey, you have a problem. I'm here if you need to fix it. If you want to fix it."
Exactly. Exactly. And then having them just react normally, just like humans. We see this all the time where if you disagree with someone on one thing, even a little thing, they go, just cut these people off. They say, agree to disagree is about pizza toppings, not about basic human rights. Yet none
Mm-hmm.
of them can answer what basic human rights
Yep.
are not available.
Yeah.
As a woman, I'm honestly disappointed because I was told that I would lose all my rights and have to, stay home and do all of this, and yet I'm still having to work. Honestly, ew.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like everybody says, women, they're losing their rights. These people, they're losing their rights. And if you just ask them genuinely, can you tell me what? They can't answer.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Every time.
at at the most they go, well, you know, the abortion rights, and it's like, it Roe v. Wade was overturned under Biden, and also it's
Mm-hmm.
returned to the states
Yeah.
the way that RBG wanted it to be. It's not eliminating it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It
Have you
actually
heard?
was
Mhm.
constitutional in every way.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally following the Constitution. Have you heard that in Oregon, you can get an abortion up until right before you give birth?
No. I'd heard Colorado either did it, I'm pretty sure they did do that same thing.
I,
Basically, like
yeah,
if you're in the delivery room pushing that thing out and you say, I don't want it anymore,
they
they'll.
can. Yeah, until the baby comes out, that you can get an abortion in certain states. And I asked Grok this because I'm wondering, how are they even doing the abortion? How would they do this if the baby is fully cooked? They inject something into the baby to stop the heartbeat and do all of that.
Yep.
And the fact that they don't consider that infanticide is insane. Babies can survive outside the womb. We've had babies surviving outside the womb before 22 weeks old,
Mm-hmm.
and yet people have no problem with this. That's insanity.
Yeah. Yeah, abortion's crazy. I've been for like 2 or 3 months trying to find one of these abortionists to come on the show and just have a discussion about it, probably a little bit of a debate. And not a single one of them will ever they'd ever want to.
No, they never seem to, do they?
No.
That's because their arguments are only feeling based.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, I actually, about 10 years ago, right when I met my husband, I actually was aggressively liberal. And
Yeah.
I went to a liberal high school. I did all this. I was very, very liberal. And since being with my husband, he has not forced me to change or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But just by seeing things, just by looking at how things keep changing, I've become less and less liberal. But one thing
Yeah.
I noticed is when I was incredibly liberal, I was also at my unhappiest.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, and I've been telling people this the whole time, I think one of the key points of being liberal is that you are supposed to be unhappy, because if you are happy, it means that you are not actively fighting injustice of some kind.
Wow. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot of liberals. Um,
You're in a red state, which is
very red. We were only one of two states that voted completely red for Donald Trump. So,
that that's amazing.
uh, so I think I only know like one liberal, and she's not that bad.
Oh my goodness. If she came to California, they would probably think
Mm-hmm.
that she's just the most Trump support. They would kick her out of their liberal tribe.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not liberal enough, they kick you out.
Yep. And that's a weird thing because that's cult mentality.
Oh my goodness. So much cult mentality. If you are not 100% on board with them,
Mm-hmm.
then you are against them. And that is the end of the debate. That is it. They will not even talk to you.
Yeah, and that's interesting.
I can't tell you how many people have blocked me on X because they they want to just get the last word. and
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, this I have actually I refuse to block people on X except for the couple people who tried to like start stalking me, which was really
Yeah.
weird.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, I don't block people even if I don't agree with them, and even if they're getting
Yeah.
really annoying and really aggressive, because I see that that's not part of, like, I think that's not part of free speech. That's just
Yeah.
stupid. Let people say stupid things if they want to.
Yeah. The only person I think I've blocked is Cat Turd, just because I get so tired of seeing his stuff. Like, it didn't seem no matter what I could do, I could not get him off the algorithm. So I was like, I'm just blocking you.
Oh,
But other than that, yeah,
oh,
I ascribe to basically everything you're saying too.
exactly. That's the thing is, it's so fun. Yeah, no, I feel that one. But
Mm-hmm. Uh, yeah, a lot of them will come into my replies or on my posts or whatever and just say something, and then I can't even reply because they just blocked me.
because they block you. And it's funny because they think that that's such an own. They think,
Mm-hmm.
I got the last word. And it's like, you got the last word because you said something and ran away like a little
Yeah.
baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's not getting the last word.
Yeah. It's. I almost wish that Elon would remove the block feature and just leave the muting.
Oh,
Because
I
sometimes
know.
people do get super annoying, but
Oh, yeah. The only thing I'm very happy about with the blocked feature is when you are blocked, you're still able to go read all of their posts,
mm-hmm.
which at least kind of gives it more, more transparency. But I also think that politicians and public figures should not even be allowed to block
No.
anybody.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That's just that's just ridiculous. How do we allow that to be a thing?
Yeah, that should never be done.
Yeah, I just feel like when you block somebody for something, besides, because you're sick of them appearing on your feed, and regardless of what the
Mm-hmm.
algorithm is doing, like,
Yeah.
just stop. I feel like that is just the most, like, immature kind of thing ever. It's just so silly.
Yeah. It's childish behavior.
Oh, and it's so funny too. I'm a huge advocate to bring back bullying, which sounds so
Mm-hmm.
funny.
Yeah,
And
I get you.
I don't mean it in, yeah, right? I don't mean it in a physical sense. I don't mean like
Yeah.
have kids beat each other up. That's not bullying. That's assault. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, kids need to be made fun of for watching anime again, okay? Like,
Yeah.
and I like anime. My husband is a huge weeb. That's not the point. The point is
Yeah.
it made him stronger. It made, he was more
Mm-hmm.
committed to all. And honestly, if he had run like Naruto too, I would have made fun of his ass. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But we need to bring back bullying because kids now are so sensitive. And
Mm-hmm.
you're about my age. I'm a little older than you, but
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was growing up, sticks and stones may break your bones, but names will never hurt me. But nowadays, names are the most traumatizing thing ever. And if, you call somebody something bad, you're going to give them PTSD, mental
Yep.
health, and they're going to, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Some light bullying is probably needed. Like
Exactly.
just like making fun, kind of.
Exactly.
But the way
Just
you do
teasing.
with like someone you're really close with, you just kind of,
Exactly.
you know, pull the chain or whatever, you know?
Exactly. It's like pushing their buttons. It's like doing all
Mm-hmm.
this. I'm not talking about, setting up online things and, harassing them and trying to get them to do. No, 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 no. People don't understand. But I was bullied as a kid because I was definitely a loner and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it just made me stronger because I didn't care. It didn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I was kind of a bully in school, but never like I wasn't like physical or anything. It was basically
Oh,
just like just busting people's chops, you know. But some
oh no,
people, I guess, would get annoyed with that. But
I get that. When I was in high school, I definitely became I wouldn't I wouldn't say I was a bully, and I wouldn't necessarily say I was a mean girl either because I was nice to people, but if somebody got on my nerves or something like that, ooh, I could be vicious, and I knew
mm-hmm.
exactly how to hit where it hurt and to
Oh
not
yeah,
get in trouble. It also
yeah,
helped I was a total teacher's pet, not on purpose. It's just I was good in the class. Of course the teachers are going to like me.
yeah.
And so I got away with a lot more, which was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the teachers always loved me, but they also hated me in their own ways.
Oh my
So,
god. Same thing. No, same exact thing. Because I would, I would argue with them, and if they were wrong or if I felt that they were wrong, I would argue
mm-hmm.
with them constantly. It was great.
Yeah,
Did
yeah,
you
we
ever
were.
get the he should be a lawyer on, your parent teacher conferences? That's what I was told. That's how they knew I was incredibly argumentative. My mother was like, "Yeah, that's code for she's bossy and causes problems." And I'm like, "And I'm proud of it."
Yeah, yeah. I was never like that bad, but not so much with arguing. It was just always like cracking jokes and then I don't know, just being disruptive.
Well, look, you also need to have all of that. You need to have
Mm-hmm.
that back. forth. And especially too, I feel with you as a boy, that's kind of like a necessary part of
Yeah.
boyhood.
Hmm. Yeah, I was
And
always the kid that couldn't sit next to my friends.
oh my
That
gosh,
was too much power.
oh my gosh, yep. As the teacher, I know, and you were the one that I would have to keep bouncing around the room. But it's funny because even as the teacher, sometimes the student like you would say something, and I'd have to be like, "Hey, cut it out," and really I'd be laughing inside. Oh,
Hmm.
it's so funny. It's so funny. I was honestly a pretty laid back teacher, which was funny because
Hmm.
I'm very type A. And I was a math teacher, and it was very important to me for the kids to like math or at least not hate
Hmm.
it. So I told them you are not allowed to say I hate math or I'm not good at math. You can say I'm not good at math yet, all of these kind of things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's good.
when my students would make jokes and would make stuff like that, I would definitely I would be friendly with them. I'd play along unless they were being incredibly ridiculously bad.
Hmm. Uh, was it like elementary math or like something more like algebra or
I
geometry?
taught middle school math. I taught sixth,
Okay.
seventh, and eighth grade, and so it was middle level math. It was just whatever. But I'm a huge math fan. It wasn't even hard. In fact, actually, a lot of my students ended up liking math after this, which was great.
That's awesome.
I think it's just because I explained it to them in an easier way, and I would
Hmm.
explain it multiple ways. And one thing that I always stand by is if a student asks me something, if they ask me a question, I will say to them, I'll be like, that is a great question and stuff like that because
Yeah.
they get so nervous to ask. And if, I mean, if it is a good question, I'll be like, that is excellent. I'll go over it. I will never make anybody feel bad. Even if they ask me, wait, how do you do that? And I had just shown them, I'll do it a different
Hmm.
way.
Nice. Yeah, I loved every part of school except for like English class. So, and I loved math and I loved history. Um,
Math, history were my favorite as well.
and
I was
science
not gonna,
too. And then
oh, I was,
I
yeah,
hated
science.
English class, which is weird because now I write on Substack
That
and
is,
I like doing it. It was just I guess the part of not wanting to write about that stuff that they were
oh,
forcing me to
yeah.
write about.
Well, it's because it's ridiculous stuff too that they're forcing you
Hmm.
to write about. If you don't have any interest in it, then you're not going to want to do it.
Hmm.
Yeah, science is not my best subject, which is funny because I was also a science teacher at the same time, math and science for
Yeah.
sixth grade, and I kind of had to rely a lot on Google for that. But I love biology. I'm a huge biology nerd. Like, I'm obsessed with blood types, weirdly.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, like I wanted to be a nurse because I was interested in human health and everything. Like I originally wanted to be a doctor, but by the time I got to be like a senior in high school, I was like, I couldn't, I can't get to a doctor, and it turns out I
Oh
couldn't
no,
even get
not
to a nurse. So
becoming a doctor. Honestly, it's just so much, and you also don't get that like patient interaction too.
yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I was an EMT for a small little while.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was a very short while. I got my certification, and then it was like a month or two, and I found this job at the prison, and I was like, I want to do that more because
Honestly,
I had
that's
already
the way to
dropped
do
out
it.
of college. So I was like, well, I'm not going to become a nurse because I cannot stand school anymore.
See,
So,
this is great though. When
hmm,
you do have kids, you can literally say like, "Hey, I tried many different paths until I found what I really liked doing,
yeah,
and I didn't feel like I was stuck because I had started something."
hmm, yep. That's one of the great things about America. We have that
Exactly.
choice.
Oh, speaking of America and my husband's immigrant family, again, legal immigrants, nobody loves America quite as much as legal immigrants do.
Hmm. Yep.
My mother, who was born, raised here, spoiled, she had money growing up, all of that. She hates America. She doesn't understand how good she has it.
Yep.
Meanwhile, my husband, who was raised in Mexico, he's like, there's warm water here. People don't even understand how that is
Hmm.
a luxury. Like, they
Oh
just
yeah.
overlook. And he is just constantly thankful for America. His parents, his dad was a doctor in Mexico, and when he came over, it wasn't transferable because, all of that. And he didn't even care. He worked to the bone because he was just
Mm-hmm.
happy to be here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the biggest problem is they just don't understand what they have. So they don't understand
People
what they're
never
losing.
Oh yeah, people never understand what they have and they just take it all for granted.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. We see this happen all the time.
Yeah. Like I grew up very poor and I've worked my way up. Like this system has worked great for me.
It's
So
the same
I'm
for
I'm
my
all
husband.
for it, you know?
That's the thing. It's the same for my husband. And you see these people too, where they say, like, oh, the system is meant to keep especially people of color, which is so funny because how did we go from the racist term colored people to now the people of color? Like, how do they not see
Mm-hmm.
that this is ridiculous?
Yeah.
But they're like, it's targeted against them. And I'm like, my husband has a Mexican last name, and he has gone from literally being raised destitute in Mexico with a floor that was just dirt
Mm-hmm.
to now having a great job, being in charge of two departments and having multiple employees work under him. And he's worked his way up. He didn't know people, he didn't have money to do that, he didn't have any of that. He just put in his effort. He
Yep.
spends his time watching videos to learn how to do things, to because he's interested. And that's what this system is meant for. It
Mm-hmm.
really does have that upward mobility.
Yeah. No, I don't get the socialist and communist arguments. It's like
Yes.
you're in living proof of this working. And they want to point out these things or that thing. Like they want to point out that people die of poverty. Like,
Oh,
and the thing is, no one dies of starvation in America. So
it's
not
ridiculous.
not by actually starving. Some people, yes, like die of starving, but not like because they didn't have enough food to eat,
No,
they died of starvation.
no, it's people don't understand how good America is. People don't understand the options that we have here. Plus, you see it too, where they also blame America. I remember when like the U.S. aid was cut, and they're like, a woman in the Philippines died because we stopped paying for her oxygen. Which my feelings on this are twofold. One, why are we paying for other countries? That's a privilege that they
Yeah.
have. Like, that was very nice of us. And I think that that was a lovely thing for us to do. And I love helping other people. But that's a gift, it's not a requirement. And
Mm-hmm.
two, Philippines has like free healthcare. So, how is that also our problem?
That's crazy. Yeah. America's just the best place to live. And I don't understand how people can't see that. You know, you
They
just
can't.
look at like Americans spend on average more on trash bags to throw away things that we don't need than the average income of the rest of the world.
That's insane. Yeah, I think about these kind of things all the time where I try to reduce like all of my things. I don't want to buy a lot more stuff. And when I do and I'm trying to get rid of something, I post it. I'm in a buy nothing group on my Facebook and
Mm-hmm.
so that it gets passed along, reduce, reuse, recycle kind of thing,
Yeah.
which again used to be a leftist ideal. Like I used to be very leftist and now it's like that's controversial again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I constantly I hate being wasteful. That's one of
Yeah.
the biggest pet peeves of mine is being wasteful. And so I try to always use everything I can because I know how good I have it. I hate just
Yep.
throwing things away.
Yeah. Like most people don't even realize that like we're pretty much the only country in the world where you have AC inside your house.
Oh my
like
gosh. You say this right as my AC turned on and I not
wow.
function without it. And
Mm-hmm.
just thinking about like that in itself is such a privilege. It is so we're so spoiled for this.
Yep.
If
And
we forced these people to live anywhere else, they could not do it.
mm-hmm.
These people who complain about America, they could not live anywhere else.
Yep. Even even like neighboring Canada, you know.
Exactly. Oh, speaking of Canada, have you seen the medically assisted death and
Oh
all of
yeah.
that? What's going on?
Yeah, I saw
They're
that.
trying to expand it to children.
Hmm.
And while that sounds already like, oh, they're never going to do that, it's already available in Belgium for children.
Wow.
And in a lot of places too, you don't need parental consent to do it from like above age 16.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's
And it's just, it's no longer, when I first started, this was when I was at my college in 2014. I was a huge fan of medically assisted dying because the people who were seeing this were people who were dying slowly of incurable cancers,
yeah.
eating away at their bones, who were going to be living in misery and just getting worse. And I was like, of course, I want that to be a choice that they are able to not have to suffer. But now it is expanded to if you have a mental illness, if you have this, if you have all of that. One person was granted MAID, which is the medically assist in dying, because she
Mm-hmm.
was autistic.
Wow.
What is that telling people? We're telling them that if you're autistic, you're worthy of death.
Yeah. I think I knew this guy, knew about him, that liked to round up mentally disabled people and kill them.
Honestly, how do
It
we
was
not see this as the most
like,
ridiculous thing?
yeah, they've now closed the gap between being an adult and being able to choose to kill yourself, being an unborn baby. Now
Huh.
the whole way you can just at any point someone can opt you out of life
It's
for free.
ridiculous. Throughout your entire existence, you can just poof, somebody else can make that terrible decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the whole thing is just so painful, especially like I said, thinking about abortions. I used to be much more of a fan, not a fan, but I used to be much more of a yes, this is okay. And
Yeah.
now I see how many women use this as birth control and how many
Mm-hmm.
do this.
That's what did
You
it for
always
me.
Yeah, you always see the argument, well, in cases of rape and incest, that happens so small. Like the cases of
Yeah.
that are so small. And I'm just going to say, like, for all of this, when a woman is trying to get pregnant, she only has about a 30% chance of getting pregnant if she's actively tracking and actively trying.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the case of a rape, first of all, everything would have to line up where she would have to be in the exact point of ovulating. That 30% chance would have to happen. It would have to stick. And it's not like she couldn't have gone to the hospital, which she would have to do anyway, and take a
Mm-hmm.
plan B, a preventative something, which is what I would do, of course, if given any of that situation, which plan B is not an abortion, it is preventative, although, again, it should not be taken like Tic Tacs the way many women do.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's what did it for me is just finding out that 99.7 or yeah, like zero point 0.7 to 99.9% of abortions are done completely electively,
Just elective,
just
ridiculously. It's
for any reason, not because she's dying, not because of rape, not because of incest.
just
Like
because.
just rape it's alone only makes up 0.01%, I think. It's either zero point 0.1 or 0.01% of abortion reasons.
Exactly. And even then I mean I try to put myself in that position and it's a very difficult decision, if that were to
Yeah.
happen, but the thing also comes down to the fact that the baby is innocent.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was pregnant, I got my first ultrasound very early on and I saw just a little blob. Honestly, if you have ever seen an ultrasound,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like nothing, but looking at that blob and being told that right there is alive in me, my entire life just everything, my point of view just changed, thinking like
Wow.
that's life, that's alive, I need
Yeah.
to protect this.
Yeah, and that's why they go off and tell these young women that it's not alive till it's born.
Oh,
Because
and
they don't want you thinking that there's a live being growing inside of you.
They don't. And you see these women, these heavily pregnant women who will have signs that say not yet a person. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like that is the most atrocious. If my mother had been carrying around a sign of me that said not yet a person, I would feel like
Ugh.
so devalued if I found out that that was what she did when she was pregnant with me. That would just be so terrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, for me, it just comes down to like that is a life, and I believe all people are given a right to life. So,
Oh my gosh. Yes, that's the other thing is you say like, "Oh, well, then they would have been, raised poor." And it's like, "Oh yeah, you're
oh,
right. You know what? We should just kill all the poor people then."
yeah, or I actually tell them about my life story, and I either get blocked or just no response at all because it's like, dude, I grew up in the worst conditions that you ever could, but I'm still thankful I didn't get aborted because someone thought I was going to have a bad life.
Exactly. Oh, well, they could have a bad life, so let's not do that.
Yeah, that's like saying we have to kill everyone outside of the United States because no one's guaranteed as good of a life as we are.
It's just such a ridiculous statement to say this. And the whole thing too, where it's like, I get into arguments with people all the time about it's like, well, it's the woman's body and stuff like that. I have read someone said consent to sex is not consent to pregnancy, which was quite literally the stupidest thing I've
Yeah.
ever heard. That is
Mm-hmm.
literally consent to swimming is not consent to drowning. Like that's not how that's not how that works. You don't
Yeah.
consent to drowning. Like you don't nobody consents to pregnancy. It's something that happens, hopefully what you were planning on it,
Yeah.
but I didn't sign a release with my fetus when it was in me and say, yes, I consent to you living in me. That's not how that works. And sex is purely meant for procreation. It's
Mm-hmm.
also really fun,
Yeah.
but the point of it is to make babies. So don't be
Yeah.
surprised when a baby comes out of it.
Yeah. But that's never a rational argument.
No,
No,
I
you
mean
can do it for fun though. Okay, but that doesn't like you
that
can
doesn't change
a
what
lot
the
of things have
outcomes.
multiple purposes that you can use. Like you could say drugs, they are medicinal
Yes,
in nature, but you can use them recreationally. It's not as good for you.
exactly. There was a case where a girl who was very young had this chronic pain condition and she was treated with ketamine, and it was the only thing that helped her. And again, this was medical stuff, this was all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Although then her mother was accused of Munchausen by proxy, and the state took her child. The child was in immense pain. She wasn't getting the treatment. It came from John Hopkins. And the mother ended up killing herself, thinking that that was the only way that the family could get her daughter back to them at least, so her daughter could get the treatment that she deserved. But again, this is using drugs the way that they're meant to be used. And yeah, drugs can be fun recreationally too, but that's not why they exist.
Yeah, exactly.
We can apply we use things for different purposes all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but we can't be shocked when the real purpose ends up happening.
Yep. Yeah, that's a weird way of thinking.
It's like drinking bleach and then being surprised that you die.
Mm-hmm.
Having sex, being surprised you get pregnant.
Just simple, straight fact. Like
Oh, yeah.
you
And
can't argue that.
no, you can't. And it's also, by the way, not that hard to not get pregnant. I was with
Mm-hmm.
my husband for 9 years before we decided to have a child. We got together very young, so we wanted to enjoy our time and do all of that. And so I was on birth control. I got an IUD, which meant that I didn't even have to think about anything. The process was absolutely horrendous, zero
Yeah.
out of 10.
Oh.
But it,
Oh,
but
stay away.
instead, but I got another one in me after I had the baby. But I took oxy before I did that because
Mm.
whew, that was bad. It's so painful. But I had then incredibly so much unprotected sex technically with my husband, no pregnancy, because not even anything, nothing,
Mm-hmm.
because I was being preventative. I was being careful. It's not hard to not get pregnant.
Yep.
It's harder to get pregnant than it is to not.
Yep. Yeah, I think they just like removing the consequences of things.
Oh my gosh, very
Like,
much.
um, like that, for instance, like, and not to say a baby is a consequence, but it kind of technically is the
Well,
consequence of
it's
having
cause and
sex.
effect. Yeah.
But you just want to remove that consequence from it.
Yeah, they really do. You know what's something that women especially though aren't taught, nobody's taught it, but it matters more to women, is that when you get pregnant, the man's DNA stays inside of you. And it's not like I could have sex with 1,000 guys and I'm not going to get their DNA in me, but if as soon as you get pregnant, that person's DNA is in you always. That's actually how they do this test called the NIPT, which is determining the chromosomes of the baby before. At about, like, you can do it at about 11 weeks. We did this because my husband was terrified of trisomy 18. He had a neighbor baby that was born with that and suffered and died because it's incompatible with life. It was suffering. So he checked. We wanted to make sure that there was nothing wrong. And the way they're able to do this test is they draw blood from me because
Mm-hmm.
it's got the fetal blood, since it's connected with the umbilical cord, goes
Yeah.
back and forth between the mother and the fetus. And of course, the fetus has DNA from the father. That's kind of how that works.
Mm-hmm.
So now my husband's DNA is literally forever in me.
Hmm.
So all these women who just don't care and get pregnant and then get an abortion, they are just collecting all of these strange men's DNA in them. Either they don't know or they don't care.
Wow. Yeah, I never knew that.
Yeah, most people don't, because that would just be, that goes against their argument of, oh, abortion's just no big deal. You just, nothing happens and it's just gone and you just go back to normal. No, you don't.
Hmm.
And it's true, when my daughter was put on my chest, I physically, like, a couple thoughts later was, oh my God, I can't believe that somebody would have wanted to abort this. And I was so thankful that I had never
Yeah.
had an abortion, because I know that I would have collapsed. I would have just been absolutely distraught thinking about those babies that I killed if I had ever had an abortion.
Yeah. I can't believe it happens. And it's like 1.5 million babies a year.
It's the most terrible thing. It's so terrible. And we just consider this a normal part of life, as if even 100 years ago, this was a thing. It wasn't.
I mean, it's kind of had its roots for a while. Like even in Rome, they would abort babies, but not the way we
Not
do
the
it.
way
They
it's
would literally
now,
give birth and then just throw it in the trash.
which was also just absolutely terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But we just have normalized it.
Mm-hmm.
And now I believe, and it's so funny because one of my favorite hobbies lately is quoting liberals of, 20 years ago. And because they're the exact same conservative talk points we have today, such as Hillary Clinton in 2008 saying we should deport all the illegal
Mm-hmm.
immigrants,
Yeah.
fine them, do all of this. And so I post this on my Facebook to piss off my liberal relatives because they can't say anything about it. It's Hillary Clinton. They
Mm-hmm.
can't say that. They voted for her in 2008.
Yeah.
So I posted about how Bill Clinton is pro-abortion in the sense that he wants it to be safe, accessible, but rare. And I mean, it's exactly the only time I want it is complete incompatibility with life, where the baby will suffer. If somehow, like, the baby could be born and still die but not suffer, I would still go through with it.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that with certain chromosomal disorders the baby suffers, that just hurts my heart. I'm a big girl. I can survive if I suffer, but I could never inflict suffering on my child knowingly.
Yeah.
But I like to post those things because they're not able to comment on it without, showing that they're actually just anti-Republican instead of actually caring
Mm-hmm.
about what matters.
Yeah. Yeah. I quit using Facebook a long time ago.
Oh yeah, the only reason I'm on it is for my Buy Nothing group and Facebook
Yeah.
Marketplace, which has allowed me to acquire so many things for my daughter for either cheap or free, and keep things out of, the dumpsters, keep things out of there, and it's allowed me to basically spoil my daughter without actually having to pay very much.
Nice.
And I say spoil in the sense that I have lots of toys. I tell everybody I'm raising a sturdy kid. This kid is gonna grow up, you know, raising a Midwestern kid in California.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've lost family members over my views. My brother doesn't speak to me. My aunt unfriended me on Facebook, which was actually funny because I found that out and asked my mother, like, why did my aunt unfriend me? And she goes, I don't know, maybe because of you're transphobic and blah 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 and all of that, which was really funny because I only post that stuff on X and she doesn't follow me on X, which means somebody
Hmm.
tattled to her about
Hmm.
me. And I'm not even transphobic. That's the best part. I'm just anti-child mutilation,
Yeah.
which apparently is not a good thing. Like how do we decide that this is a good thing to do to children?
Hmm. Uh, couldn't tell you.
It's the modern day lobotomy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think a lot of people forget that like they literally in New York, I don't remember what year this was. I think it was maybe early 1900s in New York in Times Square Park. They used to set up booths where people could come and get lobotomized because it was safe and effective and
Yeah,
the
that's
best
what
thing
that's
for
what they
you.
said. And
Like,
what's funny is that, like, for example, transitional care can help some people. There are real people who are, and it's a mental illness, who are mentally ill and trans, and, doing that can help them. Having lobotomies, some people actually have benefited from lobotomies. It helps people with seizure disorders, it helps people with
mm-hmm.
things like that. But it helps the one out of a million.
Yeah,
It should not be something that we advertise as all of that. Like it should not be something that is just handed off to people because they say, "Oh yeah, I want that."
yep, yeah. I mean,
It's
most of the studies on gender affirming care, which I don't mean
oh
as just the medicine or whatever, but actual genital mutilation,
yes.
they show in the first year that people do better, but then they neglect the next 2 years
Hmm.
where it shows a very steep downhill spiral to ending up with most
Incredibly.
of them killing themselves.
Yeah, I follow a lot of detransitioners on X, and the stories are just so heartbreaking to me because I know that had I gotten caught up in that, and again, I was a tomboy, I would have been sucked into this. My mother would have sucked me into this, all of this. I know that I would have found it almost impossible to detransition because I would have been, applauded for this, and they would have been like, you can't, I would have felt too deep in. And that's what happens to so many of these people. They were indoctrinated as children, their bodies are mutilated, and at that point, they just feel like it's too late.
Yep.
And it's just so tragic that they feel this way and that they get stuck in here.
Yeah.
But I've changed so much since meeting my husband, but also since having the baby. I've actually I'm trying to have a reconciliation and I would like to believe in God. That's something that
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to do. And I'm raising my child to believe in God. And
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like silly, like, oh, I'm trying to believe, but I grew up, what I thought was religiously neutral. I didn't really know about religion growing up. I
Yeah.
knew that I was Jewish, but I'm ethnically Jewish, not religiously Jewish,
Mm-hmm.
just my ancestry. And I didn't even realize that Christmas was a religious holiday. The
Yeah.
Christ should have given me a hint, but I didn't realize.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out my mother really was raising me anti-religious, like its own cult. She was telling me how bad religion is, how only stupid people use religion, how all of
Wow.
this. And my husband, when I got older, I realized that I really truly didn't have anybody who loved me as a kid unconditionally. I didn't have that. My mother, she didn't. She would withhold love because I was difficult for her because she just wished that I was an obedient little follower instead of, independent. But
Wow.
had I had God as a kid, had I had this at least thought and feeling that there was somebody who was looking out for me, I think I would have fared far better in especially my teenage years instead of downward spiraling that I'm so glad that my husband pulled me out of. We met when I was a teenager. I was 19 and he saved my life, I'm sure of it.
Wow. Yeah, I was um I was raised in the Bible Belt, so that's always been a part of my life, and I am a Christian.
Yeah,
Um,
I want my daughter to have this ground. So
mhm. Yeah, I don't see how people live without it because when I was a young adult, I was alcoholic and I was sleeping around all the time and all this other stuff. And without at first having God like enrooted in my life, I may have never gotten out of that.
I I was so close to losing everything. I was so when I went to college and was out of the freedom, I slept around more than I would care to, more than I would care.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that much.
Yeah,
The number's not that high. But
yeah,
regardless, I slept around because to me it was meaningless because I was told that sex means nothing. It's just for fun again. That's but ideas of how to be a good person. Where do you think these, you know, don't kill people came from? Where do you think these treat people nicely came from? That comes from religious standpoints. So everything that I believed was, oh, I'm just a good person because, I'm not an idiot, is no, I'm a good person because this is what we've taught throughout the generations.
yeah. I don't understand the logic of like so through religion you have objective morality because God said this is bad.
And it's funny because the things that God said are bad are also the things that even non religious people agree are pretty bad,
Yeah.
like murder and, adultery. Like these are not
Mm-hmm.
controversial things. These are not things that people don't consider bad. They're pretty bad everywhere.
Yeah, I think even if like you want to take God out of the equation, I think these are still great baselines for where
Exactly.
things should start.
No, that's exactly what it is. And these are things that I've tried to reconcile because, again, my mother basically said that I would burn upon entry to a church. And now here I am, and I just had my daughter baptized
Oh,
last month
nice.
and am so overjoyed, so happy that I'm able to bring her into this kind of world and have her feel this love and support. I was entertaining at her baptism. My husband's family, they were so happy I was doing it. They did not make me. They have never pushed that on me. Even though they were
Mm-hmm.
Catholic, they never asked me to. I made this decision myself. My mother's side of the family, my side of the family, they kept saying, well, I know you're just doing it to please them. And no matter how many times I told them, no, I want to do this, they refused to acknowledge it. And when it came time to have the baptism, it was very, very small. It was his family, and then my mother, my stepdad, and surprisingly, my brother actually showed up. I know that they dragged him along.
Mm-hmm.
There were certain parts, if you've been to, I know you're Christian, my husband was raised Catholic. I'm not really quite sure what the differences are. He's not very, like, they're not like crazy in depth about it. Again, it's more of like
Yeah.
spirituality and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But during the ceremony, they had them do things like raise your right hand and bless the water for the family and bless the children. My parents refused to participate in that.
Mm.
And it hurt me a little bit because I'm like, if you already don't believe that religion is real, which is fine, if you don't believe this is real, then what's stopping you from putting your hand up? Why can't you
Yeah.
just participate?
Mm-hmm.
And my mother-in-law saw how upset I was later, and she was like, if I was going to another place, if I was going to another religious place, even if I didn't believe, if I was there for somebody else, I would participate just because that's the good thing to do.
Yeah.
And so I was just, and the thing is as well, I was disappointed. I was not surprised. That's the thing is,
Mm-hmm.
every time people ask me, "Oh, how do you feel about this?" And I'm like, this is what I already expected to happen. So I'm not like let down. I'm just kind
Yeah.
of like, yeah, of course it is.
Yep. You set the expectations low and
Oh yeah. I already know what it's going to be like. After the election, my mother sent me, and I'm not even exaggerating, a 9-page worth of text telling me how wrong I am, how bad this is, and how bad everything I'm doing is, and how I'm raising a daughter with a Hispanic last name, quote, and how I'm doing her a disservice because she's a woman. and a person of color and blah 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 blah. And it's ridiculous. Also, my daughter is white. Side note. I mean,
Yeah.
like, she's got white skin and red hair. My daughter is incredibly white. Although
Yeah.
my husband speaks to her only in Spanish so that she's going to be bilingual because that's something that's
That's
also
pretty
important
cool.
to me.
Hmm.
Yeah, right? And meanwhile, it's like she's acting, my mother acts like it's the end of the world because I don't think that we should have segregation because, I don't think we should have black only this, Hispanic only this. It's just the same as 70 years ago having white only fountains.
Yeah.
I don't know how I became the anti segregation person and that's racist.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, that the progressive ideology is just it's crazy.
They also back themselves into corners and
Hmm.
then have to really dig in their heels or pretend, no, that's not what I said, even though
Yeah.
it's exactly what they said.
Hmm. It's very narcissistic.
Oh, 100. That's the other thing. My mother is type B. She is definitely a narcissistic person. Luckily, and I know it sounds weird, luckily I'm in therapy now,
Hmm.
which I needed. I also needed it for medication, sadly, even though I wish that I didn't need it. I've talked to her and she's like, no, you're going to need it to balance. But she actually, my therapist actually couldn't believe some of the things that I told her. And she only realized that I was actually speaking the truth later when I had gotten drunk once and had fun making a PowerPoint of my life. And I
Mm.
sent it to her and she's like, oh my God, I didn't know that that was something verbatim that your parents said to you. And I was like, yeah. She's like, I'm actually surprised you're as well adjusted as you are. And I honestly, I can thank my husband for that so much.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the other thing. My mother also hates men,
Hmm.
which is very entertaining because she also always preferred my brother. But she goes around saying how terrible men are and says, you should do this with the unearned confidence of a straight white male, and uses all these things. And I'm like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You have no idea how privileged your life has been. You have no idea how any of this is. My husband, who has white skin, even though he's Mexican, has had no privilege. Where has that privilege?
Hmm.
Come on, I want some of that. Give it to me.
Oh yeah, I wish I had it.
Right? We always talk about, and he says this too, it's not about your skin color, it's about your zip code. It's about where you were born. Those are the opportunities you have.
Hmm. Yep. In
I was just
America,
talking,
everyone gets a chance. It doesn't matter what. Everyone
doesn't
gets
matter
a
what your
chance.
color is. Exactly. I was just in Wisconsin for the week, and I was thinking about how different everybody's lives are compared to when you're in a big city, when you're somewhere else, and how so many people, a lot of these liberals don't even think of that. They can only think of
Hmm.
their own world. They can
Yeah.
only think of what exists for them.
Yeah. I think it's a side effect of living in cities, just because
Oh,
you
it's
have
definitely.
thousands or tens of thousands, sometimes just millions of people around you at all times. You don't know them. You don't know really any of them. Maybe just this small, tiny fraction that you actually know. You live in apartments and there's literally people next door and
That
sharing
you don't
walls
know.
with you that you don't know. Be
Yeah,
doing
no,
anything.
that's 100%. That is my upbringing, and it causes also this sense of disconnect where you no longer care about people. We don't have that sense of community anymore. We don't have any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what causes problems because then people think, "Oh, it's not my problem to take care of this." You find trash on the street and instead of being a good person picking it up even if it's not yours, they go, "Well, it's not my problem." And throw their own, and soon enough it starts piling up, piling up, piling up, and then it's too late. Nobody cares. I say it's that same thing where when I would take my students on field trips, I would tell them, take only pictures, leave only footprints, because sometimes they wanted to pick a flower, and I would
Yeah.
say, no, don't take that flower, and they're like, but there's so many, and I go, okay, but if everyone took a flower, they would
Yep.
be gone. There
Mm-hmm.
would be no more. We have to think about other people, and it seems like so many people don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I like I said, I live in Oklahoma, and I also live in rural Oklahoma. But even like,
Is there such a thing as not rural Oklahoma besides
not
maybe
really.
Tulsa?
That's like where I was getting to. It's like even Oklahoma City, the biggest city in Oklahoma, looks like a small town even to just Dallas, like the next closest biggest city. It's super tiny, but so like I've seen like pictures of like LA and like that stuff, like it gives me anxiety just looking at like for
Oh yeah.
miles and miles around it's only like some palm trees here and there.
Oh, you would be terrified. I actually live in Los Angeles, which I don't mind saying because there's 4 million
Oh
people
yeah.
here and it's so spread out. Like, it doesn't matter to me. But when I flew in from our flight from Wisconsin and we were looking out the window as we were landing, it was nighttime, so you could see all the lights.
Mm-hmm.
It extended further than I could see.
Yeah.
And honestly, it started giving me anxiety, and I live there.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, holy crap, it's so big. There are so many people here. And I've lived in two of the three biggest cities. Again, they're all liberal too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so crazy how people just don't even, like, they don't even acknowledge this. They don't even realize this. They don't even, it's just so big and so
Yeah.
disingenuous.
Yeah, I can't even imagine it. uh
Oh, it's stressful.
I've never the biggest. Okay, so I'll just say like the cities I've been to are Dallas, Denver, Nashville. Those are like the only cities I've been to, and then Oklahoma City. But so I don't know which one of those is the biggest, but Denver was the worst by far.
I'm privileged enough, and I hate the word privilege, honestly, but I'm privileged
Yeah.
enough to have been able to travel quite a bit as an adult. My mother, when she got older and remarried my stepdad, which that's a whole fun story, she took me and my brother on some trips when we were adults because technically all she's ever wanted to do in her life was travel. She really didn't want to have kids. It was much more of a that's
Mm-hmm.
what you did. You got married, you had kids, you know?
Yeah.
And so she got to travel, and so I was able to travel with her. I've been to a couple different countries. I've been to all of these kind of things, and still nowhere is nearly as stressful as Los Angeles. I've been to New York City too. That's also so stressful. All of these places. If my husband didn't work in the entertainment industry, like, we would easily go somewhere else. When we were just in
Yeah.
Wisconsin, we were in a small town there, and I was like, this is so quaint. This is
Mm-hmm.
so nice. This is such a great area to raise a child. This is excellent. I'm gonna have to work so much harder to raise a good kid in a big city,
Yeah.
which honestly, I'm up to that challenge. But
Mm-hmm.
parents who don't pay attention to their kids, which is honestly way too many, and again, coming
Yeah.
from a teacher, I see this. It's no wonder that people are ending up the way they do.
Yep. Yeah. My parents never. I was like a latchkey kid, and
Oh,
even like a
that's
step
right.
further than that, because both my parents were drug addicts. So
Oh
sometimes they
God.
disappear.
And you're
But
just like, well, fending for myself, I guess.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I would go like sometimes I just go a whole week without going to school just because literally no one knew
Dang.
or
Oh my
asked.
gosh. Yeah, see, I had a pretty good life. You know, my parents were normal functioning society members. I mean, I didn't realize how, like, emotionally neglected I was, but
Yeah.
also since I was such an independent kid, it never really clicked for me, especially with it's very interesting. My extended families too are both sides are all sorts of messed up. I grew up never calling my aunts and uncle by aunt whatever, uncle whatever. I just called them by their first name, and that was how I
Mm-hmm.
was taught to. And
Hmm.
my husband is just aghast at that. He can't believe that I call them by that. My parents have been in my phone by their legal names. I still will call them dad. I call my mom mother, not on purpose, but you know.
Yeah.
Um, but my whole family, each person has someone that they don't talk to. As I said, my aunt doesn't talk to me. My brother isn't talking to me right now. I'm on the outs with my uncle who is insane, who also is just the whole thing. And so when I met my husband, my idea of family was quite literally just the small nuclear family. Like, I felt when I got married, I wouldn't really associate with the extended family anymore because that's how it was. And honestly, thinking of even like touching my family members, even since I was a little kid, it just the thought of it disgusted me, which
Mm-hmm.
apparently is not normal to not
Yeah.
want to like hug your like that was such a weird thing. And I still don't like it. Like, it's just so off-putting.
Yeah.
Like, thinking of hugging my mom or my brother. Oh, it's gross. And like I just thought that's how I was, but I hug his family all the time, and it's normal. It's just so weird how I grew up, I guess.
Yeah, that's crazy how I don't like. I definitely don't know anyone like that who's okay. I know one person who cut me off like because of politics, but it was kind of mutual. Um, because when I first got in the politics game, like I didn't know anything. Like I was definitely very apolitical. Like I knew history and I loved history and I loved America
Oh yeah.
and I loved
Oh
the
yeah.
Second Amendment, but I had no like
Yeah.
political like profile of any sort. Like um, and then so I started getting into politics just because I graduated the first year Trump was up for election. So then I was like, I have to vote. It's my American duty. Blah blah
Yeah.
blah.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
you would
I
have
ended
been
up
like
voting for
about me.
Trump. Uh, but I still knew nothing. And then it just wasn't until like COVID happened when I really started like looking around and figuring this all out. And I was like, wow.
Ugh, holy crap! Don't even get me started on COVID. Um, it's so funny because when I was voting, when you voted for Trump, I wrote in Bernie Sanders,
Mm-hmm.
and even in the next election, I again wrote in Bernie Sanders because I wasn't a Trump supporter, especially the first term,
Yeah.
but I sure as hell was not a Hillary Clinton supporter. And again,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a blue state. I could have voted for Big Bird and it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it's so funny because looking at what Bernie Sanders has become is just
Oh,
embarrassing. And
yeah.
I am so just ugh, it's disgusting. And as I've gotten more informed, I've become more and more, it's so funny. I've become more and more anti-vax. I'm not an
Yeah.
anti-vaxxer. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
vaccine skeptical. And
Yes.
taking my daughter to get vaccines is crazy because I had to request that I didn't want her to get the Hep B vaccine. Oh, you'll find
Mm-hmm.
this interesting. I had my daughter, and less than 24 hours after she was born, they were trying to give her the Hep B vaccine.
Yep.
You can only get Hep B from fluids from somebody who is infected.
Mm-hmm.
So, wearing needles and unprotected sex, which I'm pretty sure my daughter is partaking in neither. I actually
Yeah.
used to joke when the doctors would try to push it. I would say, "Oh no, it's okay. I only let my daughter play with clean needles." They did not find it nearly as funny as
Mm.
I did, but I couldn't believe that they were pushing this. And two, I like they push all of these unnecessary medical things. I had a
Mm-hmm.
C-section.
Yeah.
I had to have a C-section because she was breech, so she was not going to be
Yeah.
coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And when a baby is born, they put these eye drops in their eyes just in case the mother has an STD or something, even though they've already tested the mother
Yeah.
for this just weeks prior. Like, I don't know why this is. They tried to put this in my daughter's eyes too. I had to stop them. I had to be like, no, don't do this. And it's so funny to me because it shouldn't have even been in the operating room.
Yeah.
She came out of my stomach. Regardless, I could have had 100 STDs and she couldn't have gotten a single one since she
Mm-hmm.
didn't come out that area.
Yeah.
But they push these things. They do all this and it's just so suspicious. And
Mm-hmm.
also they do multi vaccines, and so like one
Yeah.
shot will have like four vaccines, and then they don't care how they interact, they don't care about that. So I've had to also request for certain ones that I have decided are okay
Yeah.
to separate them and be like, no, I don't want her to have this mixed in with this, can I please get it
Mm.
separated? And it's just the whole thing is just so crazy how we don't pay attention to what we're putting in vaccines and why we are
Yeah.
pushing certain vaccines.
Yeah. And you get torn up online just for asking a question.
Oh,
I like
constantly. Yeah,
I can't believe it. Just anytime that I start saying things like, "Oh, the hepatitis B vaccine was created for prostitutes and drug addicts."
yep.
They didn't want
And
it.
then it wasn't selling. It's
So
like,
now we give it
so
to
they had to
kids that
stop.
have like the smallest risk of ever getting it. And the
Yep,
main time that they will get it is from the mother who already has it, which means they're just destined to get it. Like they
exactly.
can't do anything
That's what I
about
was
it.
saying. And not only that, but the mother is tested again for Hep B. I was tested at 36 weeks, and again, I was clean from everything because duh.
Mm-hmm.
But they still, knowing I didn't have Hep B, knowing all of this, still wanted to give my daughter this shot. And I had to sign forms lying on the operating table against medical
Wow.
advice to have her not do this because I was aggressively against it. It's just
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous. My favorite part of this too is I've argued with people over X who have told me I'm wrong and that
Wow.
they don't do this and they're not injecting babies less than 24 hours after birth. And I'm like, I just lived this experience. Yes, they
Mm-hmm.
are.
Yeah, that's
And
crazy.
I've also read these terrifying things where nurses will vaccinate the children without the parent knowing.
Oh.
And besides, I try to think of like the furthest away thing about this. I try to think, okay, let's say the parent then decides, you know what, let's vaccinate my children. They don't know that they've already been vaccinated. So now this child is getting extra doses if they decide to do this. Do you like it's just most ridiculous, like fricked up situation
Mm-hmm.
regardless, besides the fact that that should be, well, it is illegal, but I cannot imagine. I did not let my daughter out of my sight when I was in the hospital. I was not risking anything,
Yeah.
especially because it was a very liberal hospital because there was, no other options.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be crazy. That they
Yeah, I
believe in
never.
that so much that they would do it behind your back without your
It's
consent.
terrifying. It's terrifying thinking of that kind of thing. And it's just, it's so funny because people deny that vaccines cause problems. And I, first of all, think we need a new
Mm-hmm.
word for the differentiation between autism for the kind where people are nonverbal, aggressive, can't do anything, can't do that, and the people who like trains. Like, we need a differentiation between
Yeah.
this because it comes down to we have had a panel, the CDC has this for vaccine injured people.
Mm-hmm.
But my mother says that's never happening, one of those false flags. We're not transitioning children. That doesn't happen. We don't do
Yeah.
these things. These never happen. False flag, false flag. Then why does it exist? Then,
Mm-hmm.
and as you know, I'm in Los Angeles, and
Yeah.
there was a children's hospital in Los Angeles that specialized on transitioning children that just got shut down. And people
Oh
are
yeah.
all up in arms about it. And I'm just saying, I thought you guys said that doesn't happen. So why are you upset about it?
Yeah. Yeah, I love when they say things like, "Oh, they're cutting funding for gender affirming care for minors." And it's like, I thought y'all said that wasn't happening. What are you
Exactly.
so
I
mad
thought
about
that.
it for? Oh, they're
Oh,
arresting pedophiles. This is
oh
hurting
my gosh.
trans people. What?
Oh my God, that is one of my favorite things when they say, these anti-pedophile laws are going to be used against trans people. And I'm like, that is such an odd thing to say.
Yeah.
And myself, I'm bisexual. And which actually is funny because thinking about it, I feel like that might have something to do with having been abused as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't have made that connection. And I'm not unhappy about how I am now, at least.
Yeah.
But I 100% stand by like getting rid of that TQ. Like, I am part of the LGBT. I would rather have no gay marriage if it meant that this had never come about. Like the
Mm-hmm.
conservatives who said, if gays are allowed to get married, then where will it stop? People will become dogs and all of these and all of this stuff. And it's like, wow, they ended up being spot on with a lot of
Oh
this
yeah.
though. Yikes. Like, ouch. Yikes.
Yeah. I kind of think that marriage shouldn't even be a government thing.
I
Like, I don't
agree.
think the government should be involved with it at all.
I
Like, I think you
uh,
should just go get married and leave it. Like, it's a religious thing to me. And
I completely agree. It's much more important, like ceremonial. It's much more about that. It's proclaiming the love. We bring the government into it, and that's when things
mm-hmm.
get messy.
Yeah, I had to pay the government to get married. I was like,
Oh
what?
yeah.
My
Oh,
wife, I was going off, I was in the office going off about it. And she's like, don't listen to him. He's just going to do this. And I'm like, this makes me so mad. Why am I paying the government to get married?
oh yeah. We paid the government, and when I was doing our marriage license, I messed up a little bit, and I was I don't know. I made a typo or something. Technically, it's with
Mm-hmm.
my hand. It's not a typo. I don't know. And I was like, oh, I can squeeze this letter and it'll be fine. My husband's like, no, they won't accept it. He was right. I had to pay for a new marriage license.
Oh,
I had to do
nice.
this over again. And so it was just very much like, this is what it is. It's why is it getting involved?
Yeah. Yeah. And just the fact that, like, I don't feel like the federal government had power to say gay marriage was, was a thing. Like, it should have at least been always like a state to state thing. But
I
then people
agree.
say like the 14th Amendment, and what if you're married in California and you go to Oklahoma where you can't get gay married? Well, are they just going to rip up the piece of paper? Or are you going to bring it with you so they can burn it? I don't know.
No, exactly. That's what I think too. I'm like, okay, what is the problem? What if you move to a country where it's not allowed? How is that a big deal?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. But yeah, it's like it comes down to the fact that it's supposed to mean something to you. Why does the government
Mm-hmm.
need to validate it?
Yeah.
Why do I need it's this whole thing. People just crave validation. Kids these days, thanks to social media, they keep diagnosing themselves with
Yep.
everything. Now everyone's autistic. Now
Yep.
everyone has ADHD. People, they just crave these labels and
Mm-hmm.
these validation and this everything. And why can't we just exist? Why can't you just
Yeah.
be who you are? Like, why does it change? Why do you need something? It doesn't change anything.
Mm-hmm. My wife has a friend whose kid got diagnosed with autism, and she hasn't told the kid. She's not going to tell the kid until they're like old enough to actually understand it, because she doesn't want them
Good.
like using it as like a crutch, like, oh, I'm autistic.
Exactly. They don't need to know. It's not going to affect, and people will get all uppity about that. But it's like not telling someone that they're autistic, it's not going to ruin
Mm-hmm.
their quality of life, because you just have to treat the kid how it's best for the kid. And again, autistic or not, each kid needs to be treated differently because each kid
Yeah. Yeah, they're
is
all
different.
different.
And it's not, and people who are like, you're keeping this from them. Autism isn't a death sentence. It's not like she has cancer and the mom's not telling her. Like,
Yeah.
she's just not saying, hey, you have something that you're gonna then make your entire personality, or you're gonna think that this is who you are and this is all you can be, or rely on
Mm-hmm.
this for using it as an excuse. Why does it matter? It doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm one of 7 children, and
Oh
I'm the
dang.
oldest of all my mom's children. But I have 3 younger brothers from my mom, and two of them have been diagnosed with either ADHD or autism, and
Mm-hmm.
I never was. Like, I was never tested or anything, um, and I'm pretty sure I have both. But I'm just not gonna actually go get tested because it's what's it changing?
And does it, that's what
I
I'm saying.
think if I
Does it
have it, I
change
think I've learned to deal with it. So I don't want them
it
putting
doesn't
me on medication, because my dad was diagnosed ADHD, autistic, bipolar depression, like all these different things. And I'm like, I think that's kind of
that
what made
explains a
him
lot.
be the person he was, by living from those labels.
Yep, that is a huge thing. When I was getting diagnosed, so sadly, and like here's the thing, is I knew it, but it didn't change anything to me. I have borderline personality disorder, which
Mm-hmm.
sounds honestly more aggressive than it is.
Yeah.
And for some people, it very much can be. But as my psychiatrist has said, like, I'm very high functioning because I have never been searching for a reason that I felt the way I did. I just
Mm-hmm.
lived how I was. I wasn't using anything as a crutch. I wasn't doing anything like that. And when I was diagnosed, I didn't use this as a, oh, that explains it. Now I can be like this.
Yeah.
But more of, I used it as a, okay, well, now if I'm ever acting irrationally, I can ground myself and be like, no, no, no,
Mm-hmm.
this isn't me.
Yeah.
This is
Basically.
just going, like, this is just my mind that's being
Yeah.
annoying.
I think some people use it as like an excuse or a crutch. It's like, oh,
Very,
that was my depression that made me do that. That was my,
very much.
instead of being like, okay, I've been diagnosed with depression. So now when I start feeling depressed, I know,
Yeah.
oh, it's because I have depression. So
And
I
then
should do
do
something about it, not lean into it and be like, oh, this is just
exactly.
me being depressed. Like,
Exactly. That is exactly what it is. And that's what the only good thing of the diagnosis for me was, because I was already in a struggling place. Like, it already
mm-hmm.
wasn't good. And after being diagnosed and being like, "Oh, that's why I have felt these feelings. That's why I've acted this way." It doesn't define me as a person. I can actually now separate it and be a better person, because I know that I'm not beholden to this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. And they say like we have a mental health problem crisis going on,
Oh
but
yeah, but
mean,
it's
I
also
don't.
because we like throwing these labels.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I
if
don't
you're
know how
sad,
much is what and is
yeah,
just
you're
people leaning into it. Like,
you're sad for a week. There you go. You got depression. Here are
yeah,
some pills. You know,
yeah,
you're a 8-year-old boy who can't sit still in class. Okay, you've
mm-hmm,
got ADHD. Here's some pills.
yep,
Like and again, we don't even know what we're putting in these medications.
mm-hmm, yeah. Some of them are just these super bad illegal drugs that no one's allowed to do in a pill
But
form.
give them
Like,
to kids. Exactly.
yeah, you give them to kids. Like most ADHD medications are like methamphetamine or cocaine.
Literally. Yep. And we're just like, here you go. Here's your daily
Yeah,
tic tac.
yeah. You're 8 years old. Here, do meth.
Exactly. And then we wonder why these kids grow up and have
Mm-hmm.
such problems because we did this from when they were too young to even know better. But
Yeah.
kids know they're trans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, most of those little boys that get diagnosed with ADHD, they just need to be stimulated more.
Yeah, they just need
I
to get
think
their
like
energy out.
that was probably me, but I was just better at like controlling it. Just like,
Well,
okay, well I'll sit here and listen to class, but that's why I was always acting out too.
exactly. And honestly, nobody's meant to sit in a chair quietly for
Mm-hmm.
that many hours a day and do all of that. And especially boys who are biologically different than girls, which I
Oh,
didn't know
that's
was
crazy.
a controversial statement to make. And you get all these people who are like, boys and girls aren't different. They're just held to different standards and taught different things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, they're not. They're different. They are different.
Yep.
And by like these boys who can't settle down, that it's not their fault. They're boys. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how you're meant to be. Your testosterone is meant to keep you up moving because you're meant to be the protectors who are going out and doing the stupid things like fighting the lions so that, the women can make the babies.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Men and women are almost biologically the same. The only thing different between us are our sex organs. And our sex
Hmm.
organs determine the effects on our brains and the effects on our bodies as a whole.
Exactly. That is
So
100% how it is.
we're all humans, but we're also pretty different. Like women,
And it's funny.
like from a man, like women are almost like a different species to a man. Like
Exactly.
I know you're human,
Oh,
but you're so completely different from me.
and it is. It's so true because you see women, and so many women act very similar to other women. Like women act the same. A lot of men act the same as each other, but you don't see many men and women who act the same down to their core. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
because there are those differences, those hormones that do influence it from in utero. It's as
Yeah.
soon as the things kick in, everything starts developing differently.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, I'm sure you heard the argument where they're like, all babies start as females, so when Trump is saying blah 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 blah, he doesn't realize that all babies are girls. It's like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
All babies are not girls. As a woman, I only make eggs, obviously. And
Mm-hmm.
by the way, if I didn't make eggs, that does not mean I'm less of a woman. If I had some infertility issues, since
Mm-hmm.
they all then go, ooh, me, 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 me. No. But I make eggs. All of my eggs are female. My husband, he makes sperm. This is again not controversial. It's
Mm-hmm.
either male or female. When the meets, it already has decided the sex of the baby, but
Yep.
because the sperm is so little, it just starts developing with all of the egg, like DNA and all of that putting
Mm-hmm.
forwards because it's
Yeah.
pretty much normal. And so that's why it's developing, as they say, female, but it's not. We haven't developed any important organs yet. We haven't developed any of
Yeah.
those things yet. But that's, why men have nipples. But this goes for every mammal. This is not like
Mm-hmm.
this isn't a unique thing. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this,
Technically, we all start out as just a butthole, and then some
yeah,
people
yeah,
quit growing right then and there. So,
that's all they get to. That's the stage they've stayed.
mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so funny. I'm sure you've also seen people when they go, like they post a picture of a fetus and they go, I bet you think this is human too. And then they say it's a total gotcha because they're like, actually, it's a dolphin. Haha, gotcha. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, well, that's not the gotcha you think because sure, it's not human, but that's still a life. Like,
Yeah.
what are you trying to prove? Like, I don't care what the fetus that you showed me is, a mouse fetus, an elephant fetus. It's still a life. Why does that
Mm-hmm.
change anything? Why should I care less? Oh, it was a dolphin.
Yeah, most of the mammals kind of start off looking about the same, so that's just a non-argument. Like
It is.
you're
And
just trying
we
to
also,
win something. You want something that you won on.
they just like this whole gotcha argument. That's
Mm-hmm.
what they look. And you see this. They love this sass. This hope it helps, hope that helps. Oh my god, it makes me want to rip my hair out when they write that. I'm like, wow, you think that you were like so cool. You think you were so sassy with that response.
Mm-hmm.
Like these people just love this whole, they got around to like that 2014 mic drop moment and have never
Yeah.
grown since that.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, that's what I've got to do.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like when you get in discussions or debates or even arguments, it should not be who's the most right. It should be what is right.
Exactly. And and nobody likes being wrong. And that's fair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who likes being wrong? But the thing is that if you aren't willing to realize that maybe you aren't always fully 100% correct,
Mm-hmm.
like I've had to concede certain points, and of course I never
Yeah.
like being wrong. I never like when my husband is like, "No, that's actually not right." Of course not. But I'm not going to dig my heels in because that's even worse.
Yeah.
And that's what so many people do is they're like, "No, I have subscribed to this and I refuse to hear anything else."
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I think a lot of like the identity politics is just what gets me too. Is like you
Yep.
have to believe this in this way. Don't question it.
Don't question it. No questioning, because if you question it, that means that you don't fully believe. And if you don't fully believe,
Mm-hmm.
it means you're against us.
Yep. That's crazy.
You see this kind of stuff all the time. And of course, the back and forth. My mother had once posted on Facebook about, no, those astronauts weren't stranded. That's just
Mm-hmm.
a Trumpist lie. And I just responded to her with an article that said, stranded astronauts, blah, 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 by like a liberal source. And
Mm-hmm.
she just completely tried to like disregard it. She's like, "No, that's not real. That's not how that works. They weren't, the astronauts didn't say that. They didn't say." And I'm like,
Mm.
"Nothing. You're just going to live and
Yep.
die by this. You're just going to refuse to ever accept if something is different than what you wanted it to be."
Yeah. Yeah. It makes no sense to me. And like I said, like some like 2016 to 2020, I wasn't like paying attention to anything political. Like barely watching
Mm-hmm.
the news or anything. But now, like I've been paying attention from about 2020 to now. But now that Trump is elected and I'm paying attention, it's just gotten so old. Like everything he does, it can never be good. Never.
No
It's like
matter
you
what,
can't even
it's
admit for 1 second that he did something that was good. That
that's the
you
thing.
like.
And there's a lot of stuff that Trump does that I don't agree with, and
Oh
there's a lot
yeah.
of stuff, more stuff that he does that I am so happy
Oh
about.
yeah.
And I'm not going to say like, "Oh, I have to agree with everything that Trump." That's not how that
Mm-hmm.
works.
Yeah, it's never how
I'm
it's
not
supposed to work.
No, it's not supposed to work like that. It's not supposed to be diehard one way or the other. They can't admit when things are good. That's why you see all of the Democrats who vote against women's rights in sports. That's when you see all of this just because Trump wanted it.
Yep.
The Democrats have become the anti-woman party. The Democrats have
Yes.
become the party of racism because,
Mm-hmm.
they are the ones that perpetrate this whole, oh, black and brown people are disenfranchised. It's like, no, it's not because of skin color. That's not always what
Yeah.
it's about. Stop making that what it is. You're also telling these young children. I see this too, where by saying this out loud, you're telling elementary school children that if they are black or brown, that they are worse off.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what they hear from when they're in elementary school.
Yep.
So of course they're gonna continue that. Of course they're gonna start believing that.
Mm-hmm.
It just they can't get past if Trump supports it, they automatically have to be against it because it has to be wrong.
Yep. And that, like, like the other day, he was in the Oval Office, and there was this black lady there. I don't know who she was, but and he was just like, "Wow, that's a beautiful woman. Look at her. She's like a beautiful woman. And
I
they
love how he talks.
hated that. It's like, I thought you guys said he was racist. He just called a black woman beautiful. Oh, well, he's still racist because you can tell that all he cares about women is fucking them. Like, what? He
There
said
is
she was
this one.
beautiful, not that she was like sexy and all this. Like, what?
Like, oh, dinner on the table. No, this.
Mm hmm.
Ugh, it's ridiculous. And oh, you know what? The whole thing, Biden's presidency, just upsets me so much. How everybody defended it, defended it, defended it. He's no, he's not senile. No, he's not senile. And I wasn't even
Mm.
like trying to say anything anti-Biden, but I'm like, guys, you can describe America in one world, in one word. Like, how do people not realize that this is what's going on?
Mm hmm.
And then the whole, then the Democrats. Oh, I think that this, by the way, was done on purpose by Biden, where he goes, "I endorse Kamala," and I don't think the Democratic Party wanted her,
Nope.
but then they were backed into a corner, and it's like, save democracy by voting for the person that we chose for you.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
that's how you save democracy, right? And
Most most Democrats did not want Kamala. It was like the far left that wanted her. The other guys were
oh,
like, well, yeah, I guess I'll vote for her because she's a Democrat. Like,
yeah, I think it was Biden's final FU to say to the Democrat Party, who made him, like, I know that he did not
mm-hmm.
resign from the party on his own. Can you believe that that was posted on X first? Like,
Yeah.
that's so strange, a letter on that. Plus, I'm absolutely certain that Jill Biden voted for Trump. Did you see what she was
Mm-hmm.
wearing
Oh
on
yeah.
election day?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, as a career politician's wife, there was no mistaking that red pantsuit. Are you
Uh,
kidding me? I am all for it.
yeah. Uh,
But this whole thing, too, you know what else people always tell me I'm wrong about?
hmm.
The government didn't mandate COVID shots.
Oh.
Yes, they did.
Yep.
And
OSHA
they're like, well,
blocked
no,
it
they're like,
for
you had an
workers.
option to not get it. And it's like, sure. Then I couldn't go places because you required me to, ironically, show documentation.
Hmm.
And all this stuff. And I point out, I would have lost my job if I hadn't. I was a government employee. Had I
Wow.
not gotten the, sadly, I did have to get the COVID shot, but I got the J&J, which was the non-mRNA one.
Hmm.
And I am so thankful because I've seen all of these effects that it's having, especially on women with cardiovascular disease and all of these things.
Yeah.
And I am just appalled that we did this in, like, experimental thing that we injected in our own people. And I think that it was done to see how much control can we have over the
Mm-hmm.
people.
Yeah. I
Because
like
all
definitely was not like ever for the COVID vaccine, but I was talking with my cousin. I can't remember exactly when that would have been, but she was pregnant, like 7 months pregnant, and they had just approved it for pregnant women. And she told me her doctor, like almost like out the door, was telling her, like, you need to get this COVID shot. They said it's good for pregnant women now. Like, would not let up. And that's like when I was like, yeah, that's weird.
no, it's ridiculous. And it's funny too because it's also not a vaccine. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they
that's
changed the
not how
definition of
vaccines work.
vaccine.
Yeah, that's not how vaccines work. Because I know the history of vaccines. I've always been interested in it. It comes from the word vaca for cow because it started with the cowpox.
Yeah.
And a vaccine is actually, meant to make it so you can't get the thing, like
Mm-hmm.
the chickenpox vaccine. But the COVID vaccine did no such thing.
Nope.
Every person I know who got the COVID vaccine also got COVID.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my mom got vaccinated, and then it was not even 2 months later she got COVID.
Oh, yeah. My mother vaccinated, boosted, all of these things. And now she's never told me that she's had COVID. I am certain that she has because they stay
Wow.
quiet. They don't want to pretend that
Oh
anything. I've
yeah.
never heard from my stepdad. I've never heard from all of this. And I am certain that they have because some trips have just mysteriously been canceled by them that
Hmm.
they were going on. Oh, it's like, I wonder why.
Yeah. Yeah, I got COVID actually from my wife when I met her, and that's the only time like I got it. And then the only reason why I went and got tested was so I would have proof to show my employment because it
Oh,
was
yeah.
still at the time where it was like 2 weeks
Oh,
off.
so nice.
So and it was paid leave. So I was like, well,
Yep.
I'm gonna get my 2 weeks, that's for sure. And I mean,
Heck
like
yeah,
3 days in, I was pretty much back to normal. Like it was probably towards the end of that 2 weeks, I quit like having to blow my nose all the time and stuff. But I was still like, I could have worked after
Oh
three
yeah.
days.
I got COVID in the beginning of 2022, I think. My husband, I got it from my husband. He's immunocompromised. And so he got COVID. And guess what? It also wasn't a big deal. He was
Mm-hmm.
fine. And this was already after the whole paid 2 weeks. So I just worked over Zoom. And all I was just tired, like,
Yeah.
which was just kind of like a flu. And it didn't matter. And I always joked to people, I go, you can never get COVID if you don't test yourself for COVID. You can't test positive if you never
Mm-hmm.
test.
Yeah.
But it's like, isn't it funny how we went from it is the plague, 2 weeks paid leave, stay at home to, yeah, if you feel sick, just like try not to cough on each other.
Yeah. Yeah. It was weird because
Maybe.
I don't know what, like, I know what COVID was. Like, obviously, it's a variant of a flu. It's basically the same flu that's been
Oh, yeah,
around
it's the
forever.
band aid.
But um, ever since I got COVID, I've gotten sick every year. And I'm telling you, from the time I was born, before I got COVID, I may have got a cold twice in my life. Like, I was pretty healthy, not getting sick, and like I had never gotten the flu before. Now every year I've gotten the flu ever since I've gotten
Oh,
COVID.
see, the whole thing too is that it was racist to call it a lab leak, and
Mm-hmm.
now we know that it is a lab leak.
Yeah.
But of course, that news is hush, hush, hushed everywhere outside of, whatever. But it's like, why can we not just admit when things are what they are and try to get people better help?
Yeah. Yeah, they denied
Also,
everything. Have you read RFK Jr.'s book um,
I
about
have.
Anthony Fauci?
Yes, I
Yeah, that was
have.
crazy.
Oh my goodness, it is ridiculous. Um, there's so much in there. That's the thing. And oh my goodness. And you know how Biden pardoned Fauci for like
Mm-hmm.
10 years
Oh
for
yeah.
committing no crimes?
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm actually very happy that he did this, because what I learned is that if they decide to bring it to trial, because Fauci has been pardoned, he cannot claim his Fifth Amendment rights, and
Yep.
because he is not self incriminating. So he's
Mm-hmm.
either going to have to commit perjury on the stand, which is illegal, and then get arrested, or be open and honest because he can't just not speak.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And the whole, oh yeah, we just made up the stand 6 feet apart.
Yep. Yeah, he was wishy-washy. He was like, one week it was like, oh, masks are the best thing, and then it was like, oh, masks do nothing. And then
Mm-hmm.
he lied about saying it when he like forgot that you were recorded saying it, and people can just play that back whenever they want.
It's so funny how many people forget this. And this started too, in when Hillary Clinton was running against Bernie Sanders, and she goes, "Where was Senator Sanders when I was doing this?" And people just pulled up the video from back then, and they go, "He was right next to you." Or when she said something, and they found the video of her calling black teenagers super predators, and she they forget, like, we can pull this up, we can look at this on video.
Mm-hmm.
That's also, X has saved the
Yep.
world by, oh my goodness, like, I am so thankful for the Babylon Bee for tweeting that, for
Mm-hmm.
Elon buying X, and us having free speech. It is
Yep.
insane. Like,
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
the whole thing. You know what the Chinese official death count for COVID was in China, right?
No.
Their death count, what they have reported, is about 84,000 deaths
Hmm.
total in all of China for
Yeah.
COVID. That's
At
it, 84,000.
1.6 billion people or something.
Of course, and that's it. They've literally done all this because all of it is just government lies. All of this is
Yeah.
just whatever.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
this whole
trust
thing.
anything China says.
I don't trust anything any government says,
Yeah.
especially with how we know, Diddy's trial turned out. That's how you know
Yeah.
how deep these things go in the government.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like such a conspiracy theorist, but it's like at a certain point when these conspiracies keep end up being right.
Yeah. Yeah. You. They call you a conspiracy theorist for thinking logically. It's
Oh my
like
god, I know,
I'm just
right?
paying
Just for example,
attention, and this is the logical thought I'm coming to.
yeah. And you're not allowed to ask questions either because then they're like, well, that's just whatever. You're just blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Since when was asking questions supposed to be a bad thing? I was raised and told by my mother, always ask questions.
Hmm.
Except not anymore. Not when it's doubting, you know, these people. No, that's bad.
Yep. Oh. So when about do you think you started like changing from that liberal mindset?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, because like I said, I was die-hard liberal, and I, but I didn't know any other way.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
live in a blue, blue, blue city. I
Oh yeah.
live in
Probably
the
the
most
bluest.
liberal. It's literally and in an incredibly liberal family. Like there was no. It is an echo chamber on its own, and it's an echo chamber that you don't realize is an echo chamber because it's
Mm-hmm.
literally everywhere. I can look for it, and it's like I can look for others, and I won't find it. It is just all blue. It is so people are so sure that this is what everybody is like.
Uh-huh.
I started becoming less and less liberal, and I never considered myself conservative. It wasn't anything like
Yeah.
that. I started considering myself less and less liberal when my viewpoints weren't changing and I was told by liberals that I was bad and that I
Yeah.
wasn't liberal enough. And I was like, wait a second. I haven't changed at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, when I started questioning more things and I started questioning, well, why do we think this way? And I learned more actual facts, especially like about Planned Parenthood and them selling baby pieces.
Yeah.
Uh, and just by doing my own research, that's what it came down to.
Ooh.
Is I
Crazy
stopped.
one.
I know, just do my own research. Oh my god, just crazy over here. Because I never, at this point especially, and for the last however many years, I never believe anything that anybody tells me until I
Mm-hmm.
go and look it up myself, regardless of if I want to believe it. Like I see so many people who they say something and they'll just believe it because it matches what they want. It
Oh yeah.
reaffirms what they want.
Confirmation
Like
bias.
ICE, they go, ICE arrested a pregnant mother and blah, 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 blah. And you find out that the real story is that they were after her drug dealer husband and she came out and started punching
Oh.
them and doing all that. So they detained her and
Mm-hmm.
not arrested and not any of
Yeah.
this. But that doesn't make good news. And so
No.
when I started just going, let me just check, let me just see what this really is. And I realized how much they leave out, how much is in the
Yeah.
subtext, how much is in this. And I'm like, wow, that's just messed up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
And
think that's what a lot of them do. They put on this face, but then they never actually reveal. Like it's just the wolf in sheep clothing.
100%. Yeah, I say that I myself am a liberal from like 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Like I'm an Obama first term liberal. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm still that, but I can't call myself a liberal at all anymore because that has gone so far off the rails that it's like, wow, just me wanting normal things is now considered conservative, Republican,
Yeah.
all of this. I'm like, how is wanting women to be able to go to the bathroom in their own space? How is that
Wow.
like ridiculous? I
Yeah.
I was I have, as you know, a little girl. And so when I went to go change her diaper one time, some places in like public, they don't have like the changing table in a stall, but it'll be just out in the open in the bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I went to go change her and a man walked into
Oh.
the bathroom, of course, wearing some lipstick and a skirt. And he went over to go wash his hands and was just staring at me as I was
Mm.
attempting to change my daughter. I immediately covered her up.
Yeah.
I just stood still. I turned around. I blocked everything. I just gave them a look. I was so disgusted at the fact that my daughter was lying there so
Oh
vulnerable,
yeah.
so little. And I gave them a look until finally they left and I quickly finished changing her and I just immediately left the whole place. I was like, I can't. This is a child that they're leering at.
Yeah. That's
And it's
that's
just frightening.
oh yeah. Yeah, they for some reason, these liberal women, they're usually feminists and they just
Ugh.
like hate men and they talk about all
Ugh.
men do is like rape and lie and all this other stuff. But then, oh, this one man, he decided he's a woman. Now he can come in the bathroom where there's no cameras with
Exactly.
me.
Yep, exactly. I choose the bear. I choose the bear. And then,
Mm-hmm.
no, let's let this man in because he gets a euphoria boner by wearing a dress.
Oh,
I can't. I cannot believe this. Ugh. So many. I keep going back and forth. There's those terrible on X. I run into these incel men all the time who
oh,
were like get so uppity and accuse all women of being cheaters and
yep.
shell and all this. And then I'm like, and then I think to myself, ugh, I hate men. And then I go 4 seconds later and see these women who are saying all of these terrible things too about men. And I'm like, ugh, I hate women. Like,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, all of these people who talk like this, all of those people, I'm like, oh my God, you guys don't realize how perfect you are for each other.
Yep. Yeah, it
And
goes both
meanwhile,
ways. With there's
it
men
is.
that are like misogynist and the women that are like all men should die. Oh, you're somehow gonna run this place without men.
Oh, I know. And I was talking, somebody said, and this is a truth, this is true. If we did somehow eliminate all men, women can still reproduce as a sense that we have all this sperm and sperm banks, so we can just redo civilization and no more men, and we can raise men and build them how we want. But that's not true biologically because men come out and they are biologically wired one way, and men
Mm-hmm.
need male figures in their life to help
Yep.
shape them and guide them and help channel this aggression. So all it takes too is one man to be stronger than someone and they will
Yeah.
then take control of it. And women don't understand.
Yeah.
Women, I think every woman needs to actually see a man's real strength.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you've play fought with your wife before.
Oh
It's
yeah.
fun, like,
Mm-hmm.
and my husband and I will do this. He'll be like, okay, here, push me as hard as you can. And I push him, he doesn't even move.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, okay, I'm gonna push you with just like the little bit of force. And I like shoot across the room and I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, like stop it. He's like, I'm not even using my full force.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this, I feel like women don't realize how much stronger men are than them
Yeah.
and how it just takes one stronger man to take over everything.
Mm-hmm. I would say even like a 16-year-old boy who is
Oh,
just
is stronger than them.
moderately active, like maybe like they work on a farm or something,
Oh yeah,
and
that
they will be stronger
definitely.
than like 98% of all the women that are alive, adult, child, doesn't matter. Like,
Hmm. See, but the problem is, as soon as you acknowledge that fact, then you have to acknowledge that trans athletes have a biological advantage over women,
mm-hmm.
and then you have to acknowledge all sorts of other things that they don't want to acknowledge.
Yep. And yeah, I mean there are bad men. Like I'll tell you, there are really
There
bad
are plenty
men,
of
and
bad, really
it
bad men,
it
and
disgusts me to see a man take what power he's given by natural birth and
hmm
use it for bad things. I definitely don't like that. But to
it's
slap that
terrible.
label on all of us because we have the ability to is it's disgusting.
It is. It's so terrible because they go. It's this thing where they're like, yeah, all men are this, all men are that, and like I see this on or on like X all the time, and it's so frustrating because these are also the same people who rely on men for so much and pretend that they don't. Like these are the
Mm-hmm.
women who can't do anything. It's the same people who say defund the police, and then
Yeah.
they go, I'm going to call the police on you. It's like
Oop.
you can't have it both ways. Stop it.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't realize how necessary both men and women are for each
Yes.
other and how they how we need each other because we serve different purposes.
Yep. Yeah, I was actually talking to a feminist on X the other day, and I was actually able to corral it around to her like admitting like men have their own roles, women have their own roles, and that
Yeah,
doesn't mean we're
and
less equal as humans, but we're obviously biologically unequal. It's just
exactly.
it.
We're biologically unequal. That doesn't mean that we should have different necessarily rights and stuff like that, but there
Mm-hmm.
are different rules. There are different things. That's why here's the thing. I am against violence for everybody, but there's a reason why it's said to men never hit a woman.
Yeah.
Because if I hit you, yeah, it might hurt. And yeah, there are strong women out there and yeah, that. But if any man hits any woman, it is always going to be stronger.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're going up against like a female boxer and you try to take her, like, no, you are going to be
Mm-hmm.
stronger than the majority of women, even if just an average man.
Yeah.
And we have to acknowledge too, life isn't fair, and we can't always have everything. And men get some privileges that women don't, and women get some privileges that men don't. You don't get
Mm-hmm.
to make life. I get that. And that is
Yeah.
the most magical thing ever.
That's the coolest thing any person can do is literally
I
make another
know.
human being. And
It's
then they want
insane.
more. Like I
No,
I made
seriously.
all the people, every person on that is alive right now is here thanks to a woman. And
And
you
it's not
want
enough.
you want more, you want to be more like men?
Ew, no. Yeah, it's these people too. It's so ridiculous. They don't understand how women who don't understand how amazing being a woman is. I hate
Mm-hmm.
feminists. I hate feminists. Like, I was a feminist, but I'm talking about like one of the original, like, hey, let's just kind of be equal, but men and women still do different things?
Yeah.
It's funny because the same women who say, no, men and women are the same, are also like, all men who want to be daycare teachers are pedophiles. It's like, well, I thought that we were the same.
Hmm.
So which is it?
Yep.
They can't even keep their own stories straight because they're too busy hating men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for no reason. Like I just see it in
No,
the Bible, like God made Eve to help Adam. And that was her goal.
yeah, God made women to be awesome, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And like the thing is too, my husband tells me this all the time, and it's also, you see men, I'm sure, who talk about women's body counts and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And my husband is like, that thing shouldn't necessarily matter. And obviously, there's a difference between quite literally like whoring yourself around and
Mm-hmm.
like all of that and just having been a human being. But it's like, it shouldn't matter because even Jesus knew better. Jesus doesn't judge the prostitutes. What do you think? You're better than Jesus?
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody is able to recover from sin because I
Yes.
felt like I honestly was down such a dark, deep path that I totally I didn't think life was worth living. I didn't think any of like that. I didn't think I was able to be saved. And now here I am right now wearing a cross necklace
Oh.
that I keep on me and I feel naked without it
Mm-hmm.
and all of these kind of things. And here I am thanks to my husband, thanks to people around me who support me because nobody is too late to be saved if they really
Yes.
want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that's what
It
like I don't get because it's obviously like in my bio, like I'm a Christian. And my wife told me when I did that, she's like, "Oh, get ready."
oh
And
yeah,
yeah, literally all I hear all the time is you're a bad Christian. It's like, yeah, we all are. We're all sinners. So
that's how it works.
what are you trying to point out? Like I'm doing my best here. So okay, I don't, you know.
Well, that's the thing. We are not better than Jesus. We are not sin
Mm-hmm.
free. It is
Yes.
impossible. And this goes for, by the way, if you're religious or not, we always have things that we are doing wrong. And the goal is to spend each day trying to be the
Yeah.
best person you can be. But it's impossible to be perfect because
Mm-hmm.
that's also not, it's for everything. It's not possible to be perfect.
Yep.
And my favorite thing though is when non-religious people try to use Jesus's arguments and
Oh
it's
yeah.
like I'm like, wow, you really don't understand anything, do you? It's like you think that
Mm-hmm.
you're going to turn this argument. You don't know anything about the Bible. You don't know anything
Yep.
about Jesus, and you think that your argument's going to work on me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, their
It's like,
favorite Bible chapter is Matthew 7, which is ironically my favorite chapter for two completely different reasons.
yeah, we hear this all the time. They say, you know, don't judge others. Jesus, you'll be judged. But it's like they don't actually read
Yeah.
any further than it. They don't actually read any further.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some parts I like talking to my husband about the Bible because I'm sure you know about the prodigal son.
Mm-hmm.
And that passage upset me so much because as somebody who felt like the original son who stayed and worked and did all of that and then had my brother and he got to do whatever, and then came back and was welcomed with open arms or something like that. I felt like, wow, that is unfair. I hate this. I hate this. And then as I got older, I realized it's not about letting somebody do whatever they want and then just coming back and accepting them, but it's about
Yeah.
the fact that somebody who's ready to repent and come back, you shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
shame them and send them away. You
Yeah.
shouldn't say no. It's too late. My mother always said to me, like an apology isn't good enough. I should never have had to have said sorry in the first place. And so she doesn't forgive me because of all that. Or she says, I forgive, but I will never forget, which is not true
Mm.
forgiveness.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that these people can't understand is that if somebody says, hey, I'm sorry for what I did, can I try to be better? And they go, no, cancel culture.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
And that's why they
I,
don't
I
like Trump, because they think that like everyone's supposed to be perfect. But if they actually looked at any history, go look at any of our founding fathers, the best
oh
men
my
to
God.
ever
Yeah.
exist since Jesus. Like they all were
Mhm.
broken people.
Everybody.
Almost every one of them cheated on their wives. Like, I mean,
And it's true. We also we judge people and stuff like that. Like we say, oh well, this person owned slaves. It's like, well, you're judging them by today's
yep.
standards.
Mm-hmm.
You have to judge them by the standards of then, because we don't know what the standards 200 years from now are going to be, and they're going to go,
Yep.
oh my god, they owned phones. How can you? Oh
Mm-hmm.
my god! And it's like, well, that's who knows what it's going to be in the future. And it's so funny. The people who love saying "judge not" unless are the
Yeah.
same ones, the same people who judge everybody, and
Yeah. And actually judge.
it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. You should be willing to want to call people out for their wrongdoings. That's not judging them. That's saying, hey,
No,
something's wrong. But if you're like a drug addict and then you want to harp on your brother for being a drug addict and lazy and you're doing the same thing, well, that's not helpful.
yeah,
So,
exactly. It's do as I say, not as I do, and
mm-hmm.
that's never good. That never helps anybody.
Nope.
I always say, like, it's important to call things out necessarily. When somebody has food in their teeth, I always feel like it's important to be like, hey, you've got something in your teeth,
Yeah.
discreetly, because it's a lot nicer than just having it stay there for them all day and
Mm-hmm.
then them go home and realize, oh my God, I can't believe this,
Yep.
And sometimes people don't know that what they believe is wrong. I didn't
Yeah.
realize how terrible abortion was because I was only told half the story.
Mm-hmm.
And once I actually learned, once I got older and actually learned, oh my God, this is so atrocious. This is so terrible. How could anybody be so cavalier about it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am just so thankful that I never experienced it myself because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
couldn't, I don't think I could have been able to overcome it once I had my daughter.
Yeah. And I like, of course, they say it's safe and effective. That's their favorite thing. Um,
Yeah.
when they sit there and lie because there's women that die from abortion. There's women
Yep.
that regret it. There's women that go into deep depressions
Oh my
because of
gosh,
it.
yes.
They don't tell
Oh,
you that. They just think like, oh, your life's gonna be better. That baby was gonna bring you down.
That's the thing. Also, it's like, well, like, what if she was going to become, a nurse? What if she was going to become, a scientist? What about the baby? What if the baby was going to do that? And
Mm-hmm.
then the other arguments where we go, okay, well, what if they give it up for adoption? And they go, there's too many babies already needed to be adopting, so let's not do it. Oh yeah, you're right. There are already children out there, so let's just kill this one. You know? Ta-da!
Yep.
Why don't we just kill all the children who don't have homes? That's easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where it just gets into like. That's why it's the abortion argument is just so it's everywhere because then you just get to the point of like, okay, so you're for abortion, but 12 weeks, 20 weeks, 30
Yeah,
weeks, like,
where's the line?
or are people allowed to kill their babies because the DNA test said it was going to be have Down syndrome or it was going to have autism
Exactly.
or
Or
because
let's
you
think about
wanted a
in
boy
China.
and it's a girl.
Exactly. Let's think in China where they go,
Yes.
they don't allow this because otherwise they'll kill it. And I guarantee you that all liberals here say, yeah, that's bad. So then what's the
Mm-hmm.
difference? What's the
Yeah.
difference?
They don't see the slippery slope. And
No,
now
they
you've
don't.
given the government, like they want to say that they're freeing their bodies, but no, you've given the government power to a very essential part of your body, actually. Where, what
And
if
yeah,
we get a super liberal Kamala Harris 2.0 as president somehow? and they say, "Oh, we do have too many kids in foster care. We do just have too many people. Everyone gets an abortion."
Yep, everyone gets an abortion. One child only law here in America now. One blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. It just goes down this teeny tiny slippery slope. It starts out and it seems like it'll be fine, just like everything, but then people just have to keep pushing it and pushing
Mm-hmm.
it and pushing it, and eventually it just gets terrible.
Yeah, it's very myopic.
hmm it's just terrifying how quickly things can just keep changing
Yeah.
and getting worse and worse.
Yeah, it's crazy how they have like no forethought. Like they want guns to be banned. It's like, so what if I need one? Oh, too bad.
And they
Because the
also think,
government
oh,
doesn't have a long, long list of bad things they've done.
oh yeah, right. They also just, again, they think that, like, for example, I like guns. I love going shooting. I
Oh
think
yeah.
it's so fun, and
Oh.
if anybody is a responsible gun owner, then there's no problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's
there's
not part of my
440 million guns in America. Only 1,286 of them committed crimes last year.
yeah, and
That's
it's
a
the
pretty
guns
good
that do it.
ratio.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, that's the thing. If we're gonna start talking about ratios of crimes, then don't bring up the illegal immigrants because they'll get all uppity.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Mm.
it's like the people, by the way, typically the people who commit crimes with guns would have committed crimes with a knife if they
Oh
didn't have
yeah,
a gun.
yeah.
Or a,
Did you hear about the
or,
Boulder firebombing?
yep.
You know that guy was he tried to get a gun, but he couldn't. But then he still went and firebombed people, so it wasn't the gun.
No, it's never the gun. It's never the gun. It's always about just causing this mayhem. It's always about this. They will do it one way or another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If somebody wants to do something so badly, nothing can stop them.
No.
It doesn't matter if they have a gun or not.
Yeah, and even if all the guns are banned, there's not some magical
Oh,
force field that's gonna make them just all disappear.
oh yeah, and it's also so funny to me too because it's the documented guns are typically not the problem. It's
Mm-hmm.
the illegal guns, the ones that have their numbers shaved off and their things and all of that are the problem. The ones that we don't that they're not keeping track of. You think that making something illegal is going to stop it?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't stop it. Drugs are illegal. Doesn't stop people from doing it. Rape is illegal. Doesn't stop
Nope.
it from happening. Like what do they think is going to happen when they make guns illegal? All gun crime is going to stop?
Yep.
No, that's not what happens. People, ugh.
Yeah, it makes no sense. That's why I'm really not for like banning anything.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I agree.
literally.
I
Um,
agree.
yeah, and the only way I
I
get around it with abortion is I think it should just be declared murder. So there's no
I
banning that comes about. It's just like that's killing a human being. That means it's murder. We just need to
no, I
accept that.
fully agree. And it's funny too when they say, "Well, what if the baby?" And like what you said, "Well, what if the baby has Down syndrome?" It's like, okay, so do you think we should kill all people who are alive with Down syndrome?
Hmm.
Is that what you're saying? Because it's like whatever. Like I said, the only thing I'm okay with the abortion for is when it's completely incompatible with life. For example,
Yeah.
ectopic pregnancies cannot be brought
Mm-hmm.
to term,
Yeah.
anything like
They
that.
try to use that all
Trach,
the time too, is ectopic pregnancies and like if the baby's dead, it's like, well then that's not an abortion.
it's not killing
Because they
them. It's
changed
not
the
an
definition of
abortion.
abortion to
Yes,
be it
it's
says
so.
it's a elective miscarriage. That is not what it is.
Oh my god, I know. My stepdad's sister-in-law had a had to have a medical abortion at 22 weeks because she lost the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was like, "See, she couldn't have had that abortion if it was illegal." It's like, "No, that's not how that works." She would have anyway. The baby was dead. The baby was gone. It's not an abortion
Mm-hmm.
in the sense. That's not what it is.
Yep.
In no state at all in America is it illegal to have
Yep.
a dead baby removed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they try to say that like, oh, women are going to get arrested for having miscarriages.
Oh my god, dumbest.
No,
Yeah, you'll get
they're
arrested
what
for
they're
having a
trying to
miscarriage.
do is scare women who are already in probably the most vulnerable point of their life. Because if you're
hmm
not ready for a pregnancy and it happens and you're thinking about getting an abortion, it's probably because you're already in a bad state in life. So I can understand it why you're thinking that, but So you're preying on these women who are already in a bad state, making them think like, oh, and then they miscarried. Now they can't go to the hospital for it because they might get arrested.
Oh my
That's
God, yeah.
so disgusting.
It's so funny because the real thing that they're saying, the real way you get arrested for a miscarriage is when you're deliberately causing it by,
Yes.
and which is quite literally the exact same thing. And that's what happens is like this woman who did a ton of meth and like was doing all these
Mm-hmm.
things to try to induce a miscarriage in her already well developed 7 month gestational child. It's like, yeah, that wasn't arrested because of a miscarriage. That was arrested because of
Yep.
all of this other stuff. Like because she killed a baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that right around the time because like I used to be for abortion. It was like I wouldn't talk about it because I'm a man. That doesn't affect me, so I'm not going to talk about it, and I'm not going to have an opinion on it.
Yeah,
And then
no
it was kind of
uterus, no
like, oh,
opinion.
maybe
This
it's
and
all
that.
right for if the mother needs it, so she doesn't die. And then now I am where I am, but that I saw that article, and that's what like made me like, oh look, they're arresting women for having miscarriages, and
It's
just
all
because that's
fear
what the
mongering.
headline said. Then I actually read it, and I was like, oh no, she did a bunch of drugs and tried to it killed her baby.
Yeah, no, it is not. It's not a miscarriage. It's not. Oh my God, she bled and she spotted and now blah blah blah. Blah. No, not how it works. But these people
Mm-hmm.
think that's what it is, and they fear monger. They're doing all of this just because they know people won't read past a headline. They know all of this.
Yep. And then they sit there and they try to point at those things that wouldn't have happened if abortion was legal. And it's like that is disgusting. So you're still going to kill it, but it's going to be the sanctioned way to do it.
Yep. Now it's the sanctioned way, of
It's
course.
like saying, "Oh, the school shootings would stop if we didn't make them illegal anymore."
Oh
No,
yeah,
they
of
would still
course. You know.
happen. They would just be okay somehow.
Did you follow the Adriana Smith pregnancy case?
Is that the lady that was brain dead?
Yes, the woman who was
Yeah.
on brain dead on life support, and how people, there were all of the leftists, all of the wokeists who were so upset about this and all this. It's funny to me. She wanted her baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why were they so for killing that child? Because I can tell you, mother, any mother who
Mm-hmm.
ended up brain dead, anyone, I would say make sure my baby lived.
Yep.
I'm already dead. I don't care what you use my body for because
Mm-hmm.
it's not, it doesn't matter anymore. But they say, well, how do you know she wanted her baby? Well, besides the fact that there's proof of it, there's that whole 6 week abortion ban in Georgia, and she was already 9 weeks pregnant. Had she not wanted her baby, she already would have done something about it or had plans to go somewhere else
mm-hmm.
and do something about it. It was very obvious that she wanted that baby. And every, every mother I've talked to agrees with me and says, yeah, if I'm dead, then
Mm-hmm.
please help save my baby. And it's funny because I hear this too, though, with liberals, where they say, I don't know if you have cats, I've got 3 cats. And they say, if you die, your cats are going to eat you. And it's like, sure, I don't care. Let my babies be nourished. I'm dead.
Yeah.
And you see these leftists will say that too, because yeah, you're already dead. And they already believe, oh, you're worm food, you're nothing, blah, 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 blah. So why not try to use your body to make the best of something?
Yeah.
Why not try to at least do it? And then these people who have been wishing for the death of that boy because they're like, imagine the precedent that it's setting. You mean saving a child? You are wishing death on a living child
Yep.
now. These people are not pro choice, they are
No.
pro death, they are pro
Mm-hmm.
abortion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's crazy how that was like the number one issue or like reason for voting for Kamala was because she was for abortion. I was like, so we're voting for something that she has no control over for first point. Like she cannot do anything about that. That's why Roe v.
Oh,
Wade was overturned. So
exactly.
you're
Don't
voting for her for
undermine it.
literally no reason. But then it's abortion.
It was literally the Democrats have become the pro death party.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also funny because if you followed the case, they were saying how the hospital neglected to care for Adrienne Smith, and they, because she was pregnant, they didn't want to put her baby at risk, and that's why blah 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 blah. None of that was true. She went to the hospital, she was given medication, she was released, and the next morning she woke up and was gasping for air, got to the hospital and was declared brain dead because there were blood clots found in her brain. There was no
Mm-hmm.
saving her.
Yeah.
Regardless of how much intervention, she had blood clots in her brain and died less than 24 hours after going to the hospital for the first time.
Yeah.
There was no medical mess up there. There was no nothing. It just was a sucky thing to have happened.
Is that baby still kicking?
From what I can tell, yes, his name is Chance,
Chance.
and he was born at about 6 months, which
Mm-hmm.
is extremely preterm. But
Yeah.
I have gone and looked over all sorts of cases. There's a lot of profiles on X that show babies born even earlier and
Mm-hmm.
living healthy, happy, surviving. And it's just, I can't understand why anybody would not want the
Yeah.
best for a child.
I think mostly they don't want the great outcome to happen because then that ruins their narrative of,
Yep.
oh, you can abort it once it when it's not viable, and so then that throws a whole wrench immediately in the argument because this is such a public case that they made, those idiots made. So, but if that kid ends up living, oh, your argument is screwed.
Exactly. Their argument gets completely screwed if that kid lives, so they don't want that. And that is
Mm-hmm.
just absolutely atrocious.
Oh yeah, it's such an
And it's too sad.
evil thing. It's That's all I can see it as is just like evil.
Oh, yeah. And he was almost 2 pounds when he was born, which again is teeny tiny, but there were
Yeah.
babies born way, way smaller than that.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was retweeting all about this, all over this, because these people wrote, "My baby was born at 21 weeks, and here he is now as a healthy 20-year
Yep.
old." And you would never be able to tell that that baby was extremely premature. And they say things like, a lot of the people had written, like, "You don't understand the costs to keep this baby alive." And it's like, oh, yes, so we should just kill all people who require expensive medical
Mm-hmm.
treatment. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great.
And you're the ones for free healthcare. Why are you worried about the cost?
Yeah, why are you worried about the cost? They're like, now they're forcing this family into bankruptcy. It's like, no, they're not. That's not how any of this works. None of
Mm-hmm.
this. That's not how any of it works.
That's crazy. They're really showing their true colors, and I think it's really helping to push people out of that ideology. Because even Democrats, like there used to be Democrats and Republicans, and then you had far rights and liberals, but now it's like even the some of the Democrats like really are Republican now,
I know.
and
It's crazy, isn't
they've
it?
moved
It's
it
funny.
so far.
They've just moved the goalpost,
Mm-hmm.
and it's crazy. And they always do that. They're now just pushed because I don't want babies to die. I am
Yeah.
seen as a right wing Republican nut job, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
My mother actually called us QAnon because we,
what.
yeah, I don't even. This was in 2022 or 2023.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she just cannot understand anything that if it's not agreed with. Like there's and by the way, Adriana Smith was not the first person to have a
Mm-hmm.
baby after being declared brain dead. There were
Yep.
35 cases of women who had their pregnancies extended, and 27 of those resulted in a live birth, which is a very good chunk.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't admit that though.
No, because
Don't
of course
bring
not.
that
That
up.
would be,
Yeah,
you bring that up and it ruins the narrative.
it's just the party ideology and stuff too. It's just like the blue no matter who. Like that's an
Blue no
awful
matter who.
statement as an American. Like we should be voting on people for who they are, not because they're a Republican or because they're a Democrat. You
Oh
should
yeah,
be
but
like
no.
you should be able to flip flop between those. And I mean, I really believe there shouldn't be any parties.
Which is what George Washington wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was a really funny meme from a bajillion years ago where George Washington's leaving office and he goes, "Okay, Adams, Jefferson, I'm leaving.
Mm-hmm.
While I'm gone, no parties."
Yeah.
And they look at each other. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, political parties are where we ruin things because now it's just become an us versus them as opposed to a what is actually best for the people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the way it should be. Like I don't feel like Trump is even a Republican. I like,
He's
and
not. He
most
was a
people would call him
Democrat.
he's a populist. Like he's just he's really all over the place. Like I don't like him for his stance on abortion, and I mean, there's many grievances I have about Trump, but he definitely was a lot better than Kamala by a long shot. It
Exactly.
wasn't even like picking of the two poisons. It was like Kamala was poison, and you know, Trump was like a cigarette. Like it's gonna kill you eventually, maybe, but Kamala
It's
was
so
gonna kill you.
yeah, there was no way around that. I started just fearing for as a woman like what would have happened had
Mm-hmm.
Kamala Harris become president. And also how embarrassing it would have been
Oh,
for her to be the first woman president. Honestly, I am certain that if she had become the first woman president, that because of her, we would not have a woman president again for like another
oh
200
yeah,
years because
maybe
it's been
never.
that.
People might have been like, yeah, that was a bad experience.
Yeah, they were like, okay, no more women. And honestly, I would have been like, yeah, I'm right with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. These things.
Yeah, yeah, like I have multiple grievances with Trump, and like when the Iran strikes happened, I was like up in arms against Trump. Like I never flipped a switch where like I wasn't in support of him still, but I just
Well,
did
exactly.
not like that thing
Well,
a
that's the thing.
lot.
You're able to not like certain things that people do
Mm-hmm.
and still support them as a person. There's things too that RFK Jr. has done that I've been like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
dude, can you like calm down a little bit? But overall, I'm gonna be like, heck yeah, the majority of what you do is something I want. I'll still speak up against, like, be like, no, I don't like
Yes.
this. I'm not gonna go stay quiet about it because I support him. But
Mm-hmm.
it is not an all or nothing. It should never be an all or
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, you like we said earlier, no one's perfect. So we're just choosing the best that we can. And they're gonna do things that people don't like. Like, and that should be normal. If you say that Obama was the best president ever and he did nothing wrong, Biden was the best president ever and he did nothing wrong, then you're just straight up lying because you can't
No,
statistically be right.
no, 100% of the time you can't. Even my favorite president, JFK,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, had his faults, you know? And then, of course, FDR. Although the other day I was thinking, you know, my favorite presidents, I'm like, oh, they all have initials. And then I thought,
Mm-hmm.
oh no, LBJ. F that. No.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know, even these people did a ton of things that weren't great. It's just that we can take them as the greater whole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think I
Honest,
even have a favorite president, if I'm being honest, now that you bring that up and I'm thinking about it. Like I'd probably say George Washington, but that's
true.
pretty basic and generic.
But yeah, it's just,
But probably
I
arguably was actually the best president.
most likely, I mean, it was pretty much the only president of America without being president of a party.
Mm-hmm.
The world would just be better if we could honestly look past differences and just try to find things common ground and
Yes.
believe in things that we believe in, not because we're told to, because we're a Democrat or we're a Republican or we're a woman or we're a man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We should believe in what is right.
Have you ever watched Jubilee on YouTube?
I have seen many of those.
Yeah. The like I've watched the debates between supposedly like moderate Democrats and liberals, and it's like the liberals just beat them down until they basically just have to like accept it to stop the argument. And I was like so astonished. It's like you're supposed to be like finding a common ground, but no common ground can be found with the liberals. Then
They
when
don't want
the Democrats, just the moderate Democrats disagree and they have their little disagreement debate, it's like a complete light switch was flipped. It's like
Yep,
civil and logical, and I'm like, so most of you Democrats are not with this ideology. Like you need to leave it behind.
exactly. They're pushing their own people away, and they're surprised when they're not winning anymore. It's also funny when they're
Mm-hmm.
surprised that men don't vote for the party that has actively told men that they're evil.
Yep. Or that you can kill their baby anytime. Like, because that's also like that's still an issue with men.
Oh,
There's still two parties there.
yeah.
To them,
Oh,
it doesn't matter how much the man wants it, or you're using that woman's body.
it's like sometimes life isn't fair, but that doesn't like you're
Yeah.
hurting. Ugh.
My body gets used every day when I go to work to provide
Yep.
and pay for everything.
Hmm.
My
Yep.
wife doesn't work at all. I'm the
Honestly,
sole provider.
I wish. Good. I think that men should be the sole provider and women should be the caretaker, and we shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
rely on daycare and nannies and all of these things because this
Yeah.
is also how babies are getting attachment issues and screwed
Mm-hmm.
up and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it should definitely be more recommended, and we definitely need to be moving as a country to get it to where men can be more empowered to. Because right now, so many taxes and inflation's crazy.
Hmm.
It's almost a necessity that both houses have to work. I'm very blessed and was able to make that decision. Living in a red state, it's a lot cheaper
Oh, yeah.
to live, so we're able to make this work. But a lot of people, like probably a majority of people in LA, are not making enough money to do that. It's probably
Oh,
almost
God, no. I
required.
don't. Most people in LA, I go to music class with my daughter, and I am surrounded by nannies taking care of the kids.
Wow.
And I was just speaking to a nanny today who has been with the child since birth, and she's there 12 hours a day.
Wow.
At that point, the nanny is the mother.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think, yeah, it's
Honestly,
just, I think it's better for society as a whole. And I still want the option to be there because I grew up, like I said, like both my parents were awful. And I've seen how bad men can be in controlling of women. So I
hmm
still want them to have that option to be able to get out of those situations because they're not going to be able to stop
yeah,
that. But I just want it to be more encouraged and more able for the people who can do it to do it.
yep. Well, I'd like to thank you for having me on. I have to go. My daughter's about to wake up from her nap, but I have
Oh,
had such a great time and would love to come back in the future if you'll have me.
yes, definitely. I had a great time.
Thank you so much, Austin.
No problem. Thank you, Mayor of Utopia. Um,
My pleasure. Follow me on X, you guys, at Mayor of Utopia.
yep, she's great.
Thank you.
All right.